County don't buy coffee pods. You can buy one and bring it.
Where you got to bring the coffee?
You got a coffee on there.
You want to start the tradition back?
Well, it is 8:15, so it is time to get started. I hope everyone's football team won this weekend, so everybody should be happy now.
Oh, yeah, everybody.
At least the Dallas Cowboys won anyway, so you're a Cowboy fan. That's good. Okay, but it is a pleasure to have everyone here today, and it is time for us to get started. It's not on the agenda, but we always lead off with a prayer. So let me ask you, if Supervisor Trainer, would you please offer prayer for us?
Let us pray. Oh, Father God, we thank you for this day. We thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be here. We ask and pray, Father, for your guidance and your direction, oh Father, as we discuss the vision of your people. Give us the insight that we need to make decisions that are pleasing in your sight. And Father, we just thankful for things as well as they are. And we pray that once all the business is done here, that you give us traveling grace and go out to continue to serve those who have allowed us to serve them. In Jesus' name we pray. Let us all say together, amen.
Amen.
We're certainly happy that God has provided us to see another year, 2024. So, with everything said and done, we are here today. Okay. In addition to that, which is not on the agenda, also Miss Patty is here today, which always brings us good news. So, would you feel free to come forward, please?
Yes, sir. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I accused Jeff of being the new Ben the other night, and he says, "What?" And he looked down to make sure his nameplate wasn't changed to you. So we miss you on the council, but welcome to the Board of Supervisors. Anyway, I'm here on behalf of the Oktibbeha NAACP, and I want to cordially invite the members of the board and the staff and the Chancery Clerk to our festivities. The NAACP is celebrating Dr. Martin Luther King Day. We're going to have a march at 1:30 in the afternoon. We're going to start at Washington Street, go around the city block, end up at Unity Park. Our program will begin at 2 o'clock. Our keynote speaker is Jo Helen Walker, who is the first African American and first African American woman to be elected tax assessor in the county. She will be introduced by the first African American and first African American woman appointed to the position of county administrator, Delois Farmer. We've also asked, I believe Marvell is going to represent the board. If not, I'm sure you all be able to find, if for some reason he cannot represent the Board of Supervisors in the welcome, and I've asked Sheriff Shank Phelps, the newly elected sheriff, if he would come speak also. So again, you're all invited to participate. We hope to have a wonderful ceremony and a wonderful, peaceful march. Thank you very much. Thank you for all you do.
Glad to have you.
What was that
date? The organization.
Monday, January 15th.
January 15th.
1:30 service.
1:30 with the march and 2 o'clock for the program.
Yes, ma'am.
At Unity Park.
Sounds like a good program. We got 2 outstanding ladies that's going to be a part of it, so we're looking forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're here today as a work session, a county work session, and this is going to be county informal, and we're glad to have our county administrator here. If anyone else in the audience that would like to make a comment, please do so before we get started. If not, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Lois Farmer, County Administrator.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I will be making a presentation on county business as it relates to the county administration staff and some insight on the Board of Supervisors. Now, you senior supervisors, I need you to chime in to kind of, you know, you can speak more on, you know, the outside, what you're doing out in the county. So I did prepare a package for you. I'm gonna follow the agenda. The first thing in the package is the office powers and duties of the supervisors. Now that's just a very small introduction. You can contact the Extension Department through Mississippi State or the Association of Supervisors to get the entire booklet. So I just copied parts that I thought would be important as to the duties of the supervisors. Also in that, there's a small section of the responsibilities of the county administrator. So I just want to kind of chime in on that a little bit. My job is to inform the board of all the information. I will make some recommendations. However, I do not have a vote. So once you have the information, it's totally up to this board in the direction that you go. So I'm going to inform you, then you make the decision. I respect your decision, then I carry out whatever your wishes are via board order. Okay. So if y'all have any questions, we can, I guess, take a little time. There's some other department heads here that will come up and kind of introduce themselves, so I'm not gonna tie up too much time. But if I go through something and you have questions, just stop me. Okay, you also having, the next thing you have is the comprehensive plan that the board adopted. And this covers from the year 2015 through 2032. We have to have a comprehensive plan in place to adopt ordinance, building codes, all of that in the county. You have to have this in order to do that. So this is that information.
Okay, building code. We kind of touched on that a little bit at the last meeting, that we don't have it.
We do not. As of now, all the county has in place is a site development permit.
Right.
That's it.
Okay, so the
Well,
site,
Go stay right there, stay right there. Yeah, stay right there.
Pleasure to have our president here.
Good morning. I apologize, I was thinking 8:30. Good morning.
You take the seat.
No, stay right there. Stay right there.
Okay. Well, let's continue to move forward then.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm sorry, Mr. Lewis.
No,
if you
Mr.
want to go forward. and-
Supervisor Little was asking a question.
so if we don't have a building code on anything, it's for all these plans we're doing, is that something we need to try to look into getting? Right now, a building code?
I would say we need to revisit our comprehensive plan. I think it needs to be updated. Of course, you see it was done in 2014, it's 2024 now. So a suggestion I would suggest is perhaps look at the possibility of getting it updated and then looking at that. And I think it covers everything, because it's supposed to be comprehensive, so it should cover everything from A to Z. And there's a lot of things in here that we have yet to move the needle on, because those things are more than just a notion. But at the same time, when this was put together, it was done by Slaughter and Associates, and Mike Slaughter, of course, is still engaging. I think he was involved in something that's going on in Columbus. I saw it on TV, but I would suggest that we perhaps contact him and get him to come down and maybe speak to the board about, just updating our comprehensive. That would just be a suggestion.
Now, okay, so if they're updating our comprehensive plan, what does that entail? Would they come up with a building code for us to look at?
Well, I guess we would look at every aspect of it, and then of course, this would have significant public involvement, just like anything that you do. And this one has significant public involvement. But at the same time, we would look at some of the other things, and just look at everything across the board. And this building codes is something that the board see that we need to look at. It doesn't have to be, it could be something uniform. I think they do have a uniform federal guide of building codes that I think comes up from time to time to ask us if we have adopted those things. And I guess that would be a good starting point. But each set of codes would be particular to those areas. And there are some counties out there who have building codes. I think Lowndes County has building codes.
Well, there's a lot of them that do, and that's why I was, when it was brought up about trying to get federal money and different stuff, I mean, we can't, and when I say can't, it would be useless for us to spend money with an engineer when we're already starting 50 points down. So just have a basic building code, which means And by building code, it can be just for people that are doing stuff for profit, not for people that have, you know, like on your property or on somebody's property, I mean, because that's a part of living in the county, you know, that you know, can do, you know, what you want to on your, you know, on property, but to have a basic building code where, you know, you're gonna have water, you know, you're gonna have, you know, electricity, so if you sell a house or, you know, if they're building something out there, at least you got a basic for-profit code, not for an individual, you know, out there. And a lot of those counties, you know, had them, and that would put us at a plus 50, you know, where we could be viable for more money, you know, out there. Otherwise, we're just never gonna do it.
Well, I had the opportunity to look at some aspects of this comprehensive plan, and we are entertaining some aspects of the building code in terms of how far a building have to be away from the main thoroughfare road. And we do have some aspects of it in place, so buildings do not get too close to the road. But there are many aspects, or some aspects, if not all. It seems like some of the aspects of this building comprehensive plan could be approved. Maybe make adjustments and approve.
If you look on page 42, it says that the current land use, of course that's in bold, the current land use plan for Oklahoma County will allow anything to happen anywhere with little or no regulation at all. And then what Mr. Joe was saying, down to the bottom right, building located in a rural area should be at least 100 feet from the center line of public road.
100 feet.
And all parcels should have at least 50 feet of frontage on public road.
Our biggest challenge is having an enforcement of what we have. We're good about making rules and passing ordinances and all that kind of stuff. The enforcement is what I.
Let me ask you a dumb question. I'm out campaigning, so still, we don't have any kind of code enforcement with the county, and we don't have any kind of animal control in our animal control. I encountered a bunch of vicious dogs campaigning, and so I started talking to our animal control officer with the city at the time, and they said, no, they just get the overflow of calls. Is that kind of how it works?
Well, we do have some.
Vicious dog.
We have a vicious dog ordinance.
Yes, sir.
But again, enforcing it is a challenge also. We do need to put, I believe, more teeth into it to be able to implement it. Our vicious dog ordinance have to reflect on the fact that a dog has to prove to be vicious. That, to me, that's too late to define that particular animal as vicious, but there are some changes that need to be made to our vicious dog ordinance.
Well, and I agree, over in Lowndes County, did y'all hear about the worker on the back of the waste truck? You know, I mean, he was killed by those, you know, those dogs attacked him. I mean, you know, I mean, it was not a good thing. Those dogs have been cited and the owners several times. No action had been taken. Even the school bus driver had, you know, called them about it.
And we've you know, we've got the vicious dog ordinance. But when we went a little bit more in depth in that conversation, in order to have true control, I guess, you know, I met up staffing, you know, we need to purchase a animal control vehicle, we need to hire an animal control type person to do. So it was, you know, more involved actually putting this in motion and setting this up, and you know, then you get in. Not saying that we don't need to revisit it, but you know, insurance for that person have to get on insurance, and you know, so it's in order to control a vicious animal or go and respond to a call, true county, rather than burden the sheriff department, which is what we normally do. You know, we'll get a call about a vicious dog, and actually, like Vice President said, the dog have to bite you actually before, you know, you can. I tell you what, we've had some dogs come up here, complaints come up here, where dogs have actually attacked and killed 3 or 4 goats, and there really wasn't much you could do about it because, you know. But just to give you a little bit more in depth in that conversation, is something that needs to be talked about. but, you know, we need to try and figure out doing that conversation, what that's gonna look like.
Is that something maybe we could collaborate with the city? I know they have, you know, that if we like put a little bit of money toward helping, you know, with that or paying per call or just so we could find out how much if we really need it.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
We do have an effort in place. Say, for instance, you got a call today about a vicious dog. What I normally do, I would call the sheriff department. I think there's a gentleman still on the sheriff department that has pretty extensive experience with dogs. I can't call his name. Craig Briggs. So what he would do, or the sheriff would do, would be assign someone that has a little expertise handling dogs. They would go out to the situation and they would try to evaluate and try to either, if the dog was running loose or whatever the case might be, they would try to apprehend it. And then of course, years ago, the city and the county partnered through the Humane Society. We started giving monies to the Humane Society. I think right now we give how much each year to the Humane Society?
It's a nice amount. It's a nice amount.
So what that does is that there's an individual in the county who can safely apprehend an animal or find an animal that looks like it needs to be not just roaming. They can take that animal to the shelter, and the shelter would receive that animal and take that animal through that process. Of course, it gets to be very involved because, you know, dealing with animals can be very sensitive. So you can't just use what we call non-traditional ways of handling animal control problems out in the county. And there's people just doing what they want to do. You can't do that anymore. And so once we would call them, they would come out and they would evaluate. But at the same time, putting the teeth in it, and I'm sure that the animal control effort, from what I see and hear all the time, it's ever growing. Animal population continues. But we got so many people out there that have animals that seem to be as if they're not being responsible. So that's another area we can look at, I think.
I would say too, like just typically comprehensive plans are done every 10 years. So that's a broad spectrum, 20 plus years. So it might be time, 10 years is coming up 2025, I think. You know, you start preparing in 2024. I don't know, I've never seen one 20 years long. That's a long way for a county.
Well, you know, it took us a while, like I said before, because people were very concerned, you know, about comprehensive planning being told.
This the first one?
This was the first one.
Oh, okay.
And so we
not
had,
common practice for
no, that was a heavy lift, because I think at first we were going to let the planning and development do it, and then we discovered that it was going to be a little bit more than they can handle, and we had to get an expert to come in. And there were some things that he was recommending, but the board just didn't have the appetite to go any further because of all the other things going on. But
one thing's required through the state too, if they send it to the state auditor's office. I was reading last night in my county booklet, but I think it's required for all county funding that we have a comprehensive plan. Yeah, I would say that's too long, but it'll be time to do a revision of it. So.
But what we probably need to do first of all is the point that Supervisor Lola is bringing up. Have him to review those things that would be specific in getting some of that point shaved, so we don't start 50 points from the beginning. Let him come in and look at the things that would be impactful straight from the beginning, to get that point system down, to make us a little bit more eligible to receive federal money.
What I've read through this looks great. You don't need to do.
He did a good job with it. He did a good
I
job.
mean, there's only 5 to 10% here that needs to be adjusted. You know, we definitely don't reach for a financial standpoint. We don't need a whole new comprehensive plan. This looks great. That's just some things we've already been discussing.
Well, and that's how he designed it, as a living document,
Yeah.
so that he could come back in and, you know, make some adjustments.
I think that's a good point that Supervisor Howard made, that if we don't, maybe we don't need to include everything in the comprehensive plan. Maybe we need to include just enough to get our point system up. And some of this we might need to have for that particular purpose, and a comprehensive plan for another particular purpose that we are developing for land usage and everything else.
Because it is developed in sections, so you can review a section at a time, possibly start with that section that'll have the most impact first, you know.
Well, I think we're all in agreement that the comprehensive plan, it's time to review it and make necessary changes. Mr. Lewis, I'm sorry.
No, that's what this is for. Actually, just to go back to the building code, the county engineer, Clyde Pritchett, and myself have had several conversations about, the county needing to, develop something. He's actually out in the field, he sees the development. I've also had this conversation with our volunteer fire coordinator, Patrick Warner, because there's a developer that was developing a apartment complex for student living, and he was getting called to come out and look at what they were doing and stuff, but we can't enforce anything because we don't have anything in writing. So what I recommend to this board is to this board first decide what you want that building, the building code to look like, then bring someone in to amend the comprehensive plan to fit what this board wants. The reason I say that is because I think it wouldn't be, I don't think it'll be wise to bring someone in first until we are all on the same page. Because what we've learned in the past, this board was not on the same page, and that's the reason that we went forward. That's my recommendation.
And when you start talking about building codes, that's going to be a little bit separate from, let me give you an example. A building code says 2x4 studs that need to be number 2 grade on 16-inch center. Wiring needs to be 12-2 with ground. Those are building codes. Your foundation need to be packed to a certain standard. Those are building codes, and those are good to have, especially for the personal homeowner. But like you were saying, when you start talking about developments, I think it'll be beneficial to actually study the entire area, and here's why. We got into a situation out behind campus with Blackjack development. What it did when they came in and developed all of that, they poured so much more traffic onto Blackjack Road. Well, it fell back upon the county to handle that infrastructure problem. So what I'm envisioning is have our engineer to go out, if there's a development being proposed, go out and study that area, see what type of impact it's going to have on that area, see if it's going to need more slip lanes. The more rooftops you put in, the more water runoff you get. See does that drainage. So it's building codes are one thing, and then studying the area as far as what's going there, because building codes might apply to, and it will apply to an individual, but building code, like you say, for commercial, our fire coordinator needs to be informed, needs to be involved in the process, because if you start talking about going a couple of stories, then we might not have a response vehicle with the ladder, so those type things. But you're right, we need to sort of identify what we want and how we want it to look, so we can be prepared and not have to do a lot of rambling to try to figure out where we want to go, because I think it's an hourly cost.
Yeah, it can get expensive.
But you need to have professionals there before you, as you're going through your discussion.
Well, you're right.
That uniform building code is basically a skeleton. I mean, you can get a copy of the uniform building code and bring it here and we can look at it. And I think it's a good skeleton, but it's going to need to have some meat on it and some other things that go along with it in order to make it be tailor-made to what you want. So.
Yeah.
Right. And also, will this apply to individual homes or multi-living facilities and business? Clyde is here, and he and I have had conversations about it. I don't know, maybe you could talk to him and he can shed a little more light on that. I do not know that part of it.
Well, one place y'all might lose me is, the big issue is grandfathering in. If somebody's built to date and you go back and retroactively tell everybody they've got to get things to code, they're probably going to step way back there. Especially on the residential side, I have a hard time walking up to somebody that might be in a financial situation that can't do. I've seen that happen in the county, but you and I might can afford, somebody else can't, and it's just the realities of it. And I tread lightly on that. But it's, then I say commercial building code is very much different than residential. I'd be I'll lean heavily, not heavily, I'll lean more toward a commercial building code and action of some sort than residential in the county. I'll just tell you where, y'all kind of see that's where I'm at, but
Yeah.
commercial and residential are totally different. I know your situation with Blackjack, I thought y'all had done some consulting or to figure out, that's why you had the whole roadway had to be reworked and redone on the left side of the roundabout. Yeah, that's,
But what happened, and as a board, we're trying to think forward too. We're trying to think about the future, 20 years down the road. And in the past, that wasn't the case. And, we're experiencing some difficulties about that not happening. And the Blackjack is just a good example of how developers can come in that doesn't even live here, make these developments, and go back off to the states they live in, and all the money is heading that way. But then you leave the cleanup and the problems for the county or the city that have to deal with, as far as widening streets and putting in slip lanes and moving utilities and running to the millions of dollars that developer just came in and
Well, I mean, that doesn't even affect the sheriff's department and the rest of them, because that's more people they gotta patrol, more stuff they have to do. I mean, when it's a big development like that,
Well, we did address the Blackjack situation and did address it in such a way that that type of situation will not occur again involving our county engineer. So we don't think that particular situation would happen again, similar to that. In our comprehensive plan, I noticed too that land development in some areas is different depending on whether or not the type of dwelling that you're going to be developed, and that's important. Some individuals move out in the county because they want to be in the county, and they want to have some of the amenities that the county has to offer. So I think we should keep that in mind, and this comprehensive plan did keep that in mind in terms of land usage. There are some places that are more relaxed than others, and some places are more strenuous guidelines in terms of development.
And I think in those building codes and stuff, and when Clyde gets up here, he probably answers those for us, but I do think that we have the leeway in that we can say, if somebody comes and has a hardship or has something else they want to do, that we can grant, all that to them, on there. But if we have just even basic, building code stuff, that would be a starting point, for some of them. But if somebody had a problem with it, we can waive it.
We do have our county engineer here, so
you
he's
wanna
going to eventually talk about things of that nature. I don't know whether he will want to come forward now, since we are talking about building codes and things of that nature.
That's next on my list. That's in you all.
That's next on that. Okay. Yeah.
That. So Clyde can elaborate on it a little more, but that's next on my list to enter.
So, Mr. Clyde, if you will keep that in mind in terms of what our conversation is about, and you might have some further comments in relation to that.
Okay.
Thank you.
You need that. Yes, sir. That's it.
Now, one of the things, you mentioned something about grandfathering in, and I'm just going to lay it to you as a real life situation. Say, for instance, and this is dealing with codes and expectation of quality. In my area, we have the sewer line. So sewer line is out there. I think it's good. It has its benefits, and it also has its challenges. But you may have a person that's out there now that has a existing functional treatment system or septic tank. And so the challenge is are you going to encourage, or are you going to mandate that they get on the sewer system? Or are you going to wait until they have a failing system and then give them the option to get on the sewer system? And so what's happening is that you got some places out there in the county where you have so much growth and you have sewer that's not being properly handled. And so how do you address that? And then you also have some areas out there where, where people, have some, not everybody's on the same financial perspective. And so therefore it may be there's a cost that's associated with it. But when you look at the cost of putting in a traditional treatment system compared to the cost of getting connected to the sewer line, if the sewer line is right there in front of you, then I think the cost to get connected is a whole lot cheaper than the cost of getting establishing a functional treatment system, based on the cost today. And then not only that, but I have places in my district where you have a lot of hauling in of material from different projects. And so I can name at least 4 or 5 places in my district that have become places where people bring items and dump them. The landowner is aware. The landowner has a business where they allow people to come and dump. They charge a fee that's cheaper than them going out to the landfill. And so therefore you can go throughout the community, you can see areas to where you have a lot of trash that's being brought in. And these individuals all of a sudden decide that one day they want to burn this item. And so they have this big burn that lasts for several days, smokes out the whole community. You see, and so I'm having to deal with that, you know, based upon, when it comes down to land use, people are fine as long as they can do what they want to do. But when the next guy do something they don't like, that's when you're going to get the call.
As far as the landfill, is that not breaking EPA laws? And I know we've got one individual doing it north of town, and the city was addressing that last year, but it's just repetitive.
Well, if that individual has a desire to create a landfill, he probably would not have it, but he still can allow people to bring stuff and dump on his property.
But I don't think the EPA allows you to do a lot of that, like over toward in Alabama and stuff, when we're talking about those burns and things. There's certain things that, especially the ones that come in there,
Right.
The EPA is real. I mean, I deal with them a lot.
That's true, but see, nobody's there to enforce it.
They are, you tell the EPA where they are, they'll come enforce it themselves.
Nobody's there to, because most of the stuff is burning should be natural products.
Correct.
But of course, I think we've been around enough stuff where you can know whether something is natural or something is not.
They like to
So-
burn tires a lot.
And I think, well, Patrick, you know, he can, of course, I try to get him to go out and look at it and evaluate some things, but then it becomes difficult because people have operations and you know, it's profitable business, but at the same time, and then not only that, but you know, all this stuff has to come in. You know, when you got communities where you hauling out material and people are hauling in material, and it's difficult, but you're trying to find a happy medium. You want to try to make everybody happy, I guess, be diplomatic.
Tell a new supervisor, why do people, are they inclined to a private septic system versus tying into the sewer line? Have you ever gotten a rationale that they want to do that because, or is it just a financial?
Well, just misconceptions and probably financial. You know, because, you know, as long as they think that it's working, and they think that, hey, they don't have an issue. But of course, you know that a lot of the soil and things of this nature in this county, you know, has had some challenges. And when things start to grow, I mean, if you own 50 acres, and you own all the property, and of course you're not going to probably be a big challenge to your neighbor. But you live in some of these lots and some of these areas where you have an acre, and we got some people where you have multiple residences own an acre, half acre, whatever like that, then you're going to have some challenge. And for the most part, most people are eager to participate. But then with some of the issues, and that's another thing that we got to deal with. We talked about that. We got some issues with our wastewater district that we're going to have to tackle too. I know that's not on the plan, but that's another thing that we've been dealing with. We're going to deal with that, you know, with some issues concerning wastewater expansion in the county. But I don't want to, well, I guess I am going to drop it on you as I get it.
I think that the present guidelines, as I understand them, and you might be able to correct me, but if a system is installed and a person have a functional system, they don't have to get onto that system. But if their system go bad, and we know that their system is bad, that's a problem. You might not know that the system is bad, but if you know the system is bad, they cannot rebuild that system. They will have to get on to the private sewage system that is running down past their house.
That means you can go from having no bill to having a sewer bill.
Retroactively?
Not retroactive.
You're talking about a full bill for whatever the county charges?
No, for going forward. Once you get hooked up onto the
Once you
system,
get started.
then you'll get a bill. And I think that bill is probably, in most cases, I think it pretty much mirrors the water bill. You know, but at the same time, of course, that's another issue because you got different associations that have different expectations and different requirements. And I think that's in your comprehensive plan too, where it identifies how many water associations we have in the county.
Normally it's the same as you're right, normally it's the same as the water bill.
So as we see, comprehensive plan is a huge conversation. And like, our administrator mentioned, we might wanna try, but it might be better to let the professional come in and walk us through this.
No, I
So
agree.
to make sure
But
that.
I'm just saying, you all need to know what you want first.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
That's true, but sometimes we might not even know what we want.
That's
You know,
true, too.
we might, there are things that a professional probably can walk us through and make sure that what we're trying to do is legal and can be done, rather than saying this is what we're gonna do and then get to that point and, well, you can't do it that way, you know, so. It's a huge conversation, it's a huge conversation.
I just like what's being uniform, you know, what's expected in District 1, you know, I'm expecting in
Yeah,
District 2.
that's true.
That's the thing I'm
Yeah.
saying, basically.
And on the water, you know, cause there's so many different, you know, water, you know, plants and stuff out there. I thought I heard that legislatively, they can make some changes to where they can all have to be, like, we all want them on the same page, the same money, the same, you know, stuff. But I think that's something that we probably need to talk to our, you know, representatives, you know, and them about, because I think that can be done. I think it's just a little difficult because the water associations are very, very difficult, kind of like the railroad.
I think Mr. Williams can tell you about how that can be very interesting, because a lot of these associations are very strong.
Well, I think you feel like they should be uniform maybe in terms of the price and but keep in mind that some water systems might not have but 60 individuals on that system. So they might not be able to charge the same price as a person that would have 2,000 individuals on their system. So the price would probably vary from one system to another system. To speak for rural water, I think rural water do its very best too with what it has to work with. I know most rural water systems have individuals who are working without compensation. They're doing it for to provide service to their community. So rural water is doing a great job of what they're doing and continue to do what they're presently doing. I think would be a good thing for their community.
So do we want, on this issue, do we want our administrator to reach out to Mr. Slaughter and have him maybe set a time to come and work with the board?
I think that would be good.
Needs to be sometime this year.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't have to be in the next couple of meetings, but I think
it's-
2024, that needs to be on the timeline somewhere.
Sooner rather
I need to
than
make a
later.
motion and second it then. You need to put a board vote in place.
I move that we allow our county administrator to reach out to Mr. Slaughter and come back and re-engage the board, about updating the comprehensive plan.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Little. Are there all in favor?
Yeah.
Any opposed?
No, I'm not opposed. I just want to say one thing.
Unanimously approved.
I would just say, like, I don't know how in that conversation, but my opinion would be as we start those conversations from a financial standpoint, understand that we're okay with 90% of it. If there were just a few issues we want him to look at, not the whole, you know, because that is a major undertaking.
Exactly.
So a few of
That's
them with
all,
You're
that's
not
what
building
I'm
the whole
saying.
thing.
just 10% that problem areas.
Yeah. Okay, I'll contact him this afternoon to figure out the soonest he could come, depending on his schedule, and I'll let you all know.
And do we need to figure out what we want him to look at, or do we want him to come and tell us what we want to look at?
To me, I think if we're more concerned about trying to get that point system down, I think that's the first thing we need to engage him with, is what is it that we need to put in place in our comprehensive plan that would allow us to be more presentable when we go and start reaching for federal monies, because like you said, this is a huge document and it can be done in stages. So whatever is most important to the board starting off is what we need to get him to come and talk to us about.
Okay.
Well taken. There's some aspects of the comprehensive plan that should be reviewed, I'm sure. And some aspects seem to be functioning, which is good.
All right, next we have is the site development permit guidelines. This was adopted June of 2016. So just to kind of sum it up a little bit, any development that took place after that date had to abide by the site development guidelines. So the process start with an address being issued to that property through Golden Triangle Planning and Development. That application is emailed to me. From that information, I will email out to that individual the requirements to complete the site development permit. The two requirements are, if it's a residential home, proof of water availability and proof of septic recommendation. They do have to contact the Mississippi Department of Health. They will send a representative out, test the soil. There's a fee associated, but not through us, through the state. They send a representative out, they do what they do, and then they make a recommendation. They give them a 2-page report. It's called a permit recommendation. I need that report. As far as the proof of water, they can bring in to me the actual receipt where they've made the deposit, or they can get a letter from that water association saying, we service water at, and it has to say that address, okay? If it's a home, it's a $21 fee, and then they complete a 1-page application. After completing that and giving me everything that's required, I will then give them their permit. So they are now in compliance with Oktibbeha County. With completing this site development permit for that address, you're entitled to one covenant. That's the only time I can put in the request for a covenant, is through completing the site development permit. Outside of that, this board sometimes and will, if you have an individual that's wanting to develop, but they need to cover it to get on their property, then that's on the board. If it's in your district, you can come before the board to get a request for a cover through a board order. And then that's given to the road department to do it. So there are 2 ways. Through this board, which is prior to this, or I only do it once this is completed. We have this, a lot of this don't necessarily apply to everyone. It also is developed for if you're doing a church, a business, multifamily unit. The guidelines are in here. If you are going to build a road and you want the county to adopt the road, all of that is in this. This is the only thing we have adopted right now that we can actually enforce.
And y'all can enforce that?
Because it's adopted. Mr. Pritchett get involved when it's a larger unit, so he can kind of chime on that. And that was part of that document that was circulating earlier. So he can kind of clarify some of that, unless you have questions now.
Well, he wanted this man to come on up and.
I mean, that's up to you all. Yeah.
Yeah.
If you want, that's up to you.
Probably one of the delays, with the site development plan will be the communication with the Mississippi State Department of Health. They have to approve that site and come out and do the soil testing, and that takes some time. So I always tell individuals that if they contact me first, I would ask them to go ahead and make contact with Mississippi State Department of Health and start the communication there. And then you can work things out with Mr. Lowers there. So if they already have that done, everything else will move smoothly, I believe.
What worst case scenario, what kind of timeline have y'all seen on the worst delays? I mean, your worst situation from start to finish, you said Department of Health might be the longest delay. Y'all seen it months?
What I've noticed, that's the longest for them to actually come out and do the soil testing. Now, Mr. Lewis might see something different in terms of what she sees happening in the site development plan, and so would you.
Now, I don't know. I can't speak on individual. It could be a financial thing. I don't know. But what I do know as far as the state being involved. You have to go online, you have to complete an application and pay a fee. You have to do that before they would even send someone out. Now, once you've done that part, I don't know how long it takes, because again, we have no involvement in that. We're just pointing them in the direction. The last conversation I had when I got appointed to this position, I called because I want the information. I think there was only 3 people that was a part of that part of it, the wastewater part, and that was almost 3 years ago then. So I don't know what the staffing is now.
And that's for the whole state?
I don't know.
Maybe it's for some type of region they have, or some type of
Yes.
territory.
So that's what I'm saying. I don't.
Several counties.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't know.
A little back history to that. It used to be here within the county. You used to go up to the health department, pay a $50 fee. They would come out to your place you were proposing to build upon and do what they call the perk test. Perk test was simply, they dig 3 holes in different locations on your property, fill them full of water and see how long it would take for that property. Well, they moved it from within the counties and made it regional, moved it into Jackson. So what you run into a lot of times is, especially an elderly person that don't know how to go on the computer and, you know, get online, it just delays them, and you know, they might think they've got it right and send back. But anyway, I think the whole process now, when you come in and fill out this $21 permit, the whole process will run an individual $400 or $500, I think.
What I've learned recently is the water association deposit were a large amount too. So
Yeah,
again, I
yeah.
can't speak to the individuals, but it could be a financial thing that delayed
This,
for the
well,
individuals. I don't know.
What this does is for the health department to give you some recommendation on what type of septic system you can put in. That's what this
That's
does.
all this is.
Now, but in order for them to get a water meter set, they have to have been through this process. Now, it used to be, I don't know, pretty minimal to have a water meter set by the water association. Now I think I know out in Aderton it's $2,500
Yeah.
to have a
Yeah.
water meter set.
Exactly.
And not even have to have.
Not even just
Water.
you have to have been through this process, have to have had recommendation and have your certificate from the health department. Then the water association will come out and actually set a meter for you, but that cost is different from this cost.
That's
It's a
separate.
separate cost of $2,500. I don't know what your
Oh, no,
water
very cheap,
association.
very cheap.
Well,
About
Aderton
600,
now-
about $700.
Okay, Aderton
Second
now
one,
Yeah.
like that?
That's right.
Man, I'm gonna be thinking way back when I got one.
it's $250.
I was thinking cheaper than that.
Well, Aderton
$700.
is $2,500.
We do it cheap, but our people work for that.
But we've kind of off track. We'll get Clyde to come up and talk about site development.
Yeah. There would be several things that would delay it.
Yeah.
There's no way.
Keep your seat, Mr. B.O.S. I just pointed out in the conversation a while ago when Supervisor Howard was talking about the impact to the roads and this and that. Actually, in the development permit that was adopted in 16, if you look in the very back, there's some criteria under the guidelines. And that's it right there. So, pardon me.
You're looking at this page.
And this is a single page. It's a
This
single
is-
package.
Oh, it's not.
This was land use thresholds that would require some type of impact analysis, traffic analysis for us to look at. And you got some light manufacturing, and then you've got your single family, subdivision type stuff at 99 units, apartments 161 units. Most all these developments that have gone in, like on Blackjack right now, got over 160 units in them. And then there's schools, there's freestanding discount stores, shopping centers, stuff down to 3, banks. And what we were efforting to do there was saying, if you're gonna build this in the county, this many square feet or better, this many units, we want a chance to look at it or an impact study. What's happening, and we're all about pro-growth in the county, but what's happening is these developments are outrunning us.
Yeah,
I mean, they've already been to the Water Association, they've already been to this, and they've already got the plans done, and by the time they show up and say, we want an address, these things have already broke ground and got started. So, you mentioned, and Mr. Lloyd said we can enforce, well, you got something in place, but you don't really have a way to enforce it.
So, and this is just a question to you, because I know you do a lot of this.
Sure.
Right now, if someone was gonna look at a development, they would have to have an engineer. More than likely, they'll either contact you or we'll hear something at the coffee shop or whatever it may be. So do you know of any, well, you may not can even say, because I know you may be, well, you can't.
I have some, yeah.
Well, you've already answered. So so with us knowing that there's some interest out there, you know, and I don't know whether it's in certain areas, I don't know whether it's in the same area or where it is, you know, how can we get prepared for that?
And that's an excellent question. And I don't mind telling you, we know of 3 projects right now in the 182 corridor that are 90 to 100 acre projects that are coming in. And there's anything from RV parks to single family. I'll tell you, we have a group out of state right now, various stout investors, they're trying to decide if we're gonna build 12 to 1,500 square foot houses, we're gonna build Browning Creek again. We don't know what we're gonna build, but we're fixing to build something.
And we don't have a building code.
Correct.
And all that's for profit.
And I think one of our issues, and Mr. Lawrence mentioned that I drafted this in 2016 so we would have something. It was intended to be a baby step. If by the car, you're right, just like the plan, this needs to be revisited. Some of these permit fees need to be revisited. You know, when you're out there spending $20 million, a couple $100 for a permit ain't, you know, that ain't bothering nobody. But I think one of our big issues right now is part ignorance. You know, they get into this project and they get way down the road and they know we've got no code development. And all of a sudden, this train has done left the station before we even know what's happening.
And that's a lot of infrastructure. I mean, you know, water, sewage, the whole 9 yards,
You
all
mentioned
of
the
that.
water and blessing.
And where all that's going.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's
that's
see
a
water
concern.
associations, I mean, and y'all mentioned some uniformity. The classic, the problem we see most often is that developer goes to the water association, they say, yes, we can serve. Well, then they find out there's 3-story buildings and 400 units out there, and we can serve and you're in our area, but you're gonna have to build me 2 miles of line, you're gonna have to put in a new well, or you're gonna have to put in a new tank, because we don't have water and pressure, and et cetera, and then therein lies the rub, and everything kinda goes squirrely. So, a lot of work. If I had a recommendation now on this, it would be some type of enforcement capability that catches this stuff when it breaks ground or is about to break ground. And I don't know exactly how you do that right now. But waiting till they're 3/4 built and ready for an address is the, you know, classic saying, a horse done left the barn by then. And we don't have, at that point, we won't have the impact study, the traffic analysis. And it's gonna be hard for Supervisor Howard to go back and say, we need $1 million to improve Artesia Road, or, you know, down there, because you built these 500 units out there. That's a conversation that starts way earlier in the game.
So with what you're doing, would you be better service to the county by us relieving you of some of this other little trivial stuff that you have to do for us and put you on, and when I'm talking about trivial stuff, you know, working on county roads, state aid stuff, and put you on this development stuff that's really just hitting us. I mean, really get you aggressive. And I know that's kind of.
I don't think we need relief necessarily, but I don't know that it's ever really been assigned to us. I don't think we ever defined who's gonna review these permits and say, I want it to go through this individual first. I mean, the language is such that if they put the application in, it says, you know, the county engineer may go by, or the road manager may go by, or some, you know, the county administrator may go by and review this or such. But I think supervisor, trainer, it's more just a matter of assignment.
Okay.
You know, and if we know we got this on our plate, quite honestly, we may or may not have to hire somebody, but we'll bring them on board and that's your job. But to say that we're gonna ride around all over the county and try to catch the next guy that breaks ground, that's a pretty heavy lift.
Well,
Let me ask you this, what sort of position does it put you in?
yeah.
Say for instance, a developer comes to town, hire you as an engineer, but at the same time, you've gotta look out for the interests of the county.
First
So
thing I'm doing, quite candidly, is I'm informing them, right out the gate, that we have these guidelines and this permit, if they come to us. Now, we may not be the first guy that comes to it, he may have already talked to one or two or three other engineering firms.
Mhm.
But we're gonna tell him that straight up, and if he said, well, we would like for you to do the job, then I'm telling him, I got two choices. I can either do the job for you and go to the county and say, I'm not gonna be able to review this permit on behalf of the county, and recuse myself from that, or I can accept the county, role in that and say, I'm not doing this job, you need to get another engineer to do it, and when it comes to the board, I'll be the one reviewing it. Now, I think it's beneficial that we know what's going on already, whether we're doing it or not.
And we've actually done that on some situations where he has had to email me and say, move forward with it. To myself and Toby.
Okay.
It's the ones that start and we don't know.
But
We can't enforce or stop,
we
that's
would step
what
away.
we've done.
If it's the pleasure of the board and you want us to be more proactive in this permit, what we would have to do is we just step away from developing a job, doing engineering in the county for a private firm. So we just say, can't do it, go get you somebody else. When it comes to the board, I'll be reviewing it for the county.
What can we do to stop them where it's beneficial for them to have to make that first step, before, like you said, before they break ground, before they do anything, that mandates they come to us first, to come get some type of something first?
Part of it is gonna be, I think, a revision in here, where it sets a timeline. Right now, there's not, we've got a permit, but it doesn't say at what stage of the game you're gonna bring it to us. So maybe that's one thing that needs to be addressed in here. And, another one is just gonna be education. It's a 2016 document, but there's still a lot of folks that just don't know out there that wants to do their framing shop or this shop or what have you, that just does not know. And again, Supervisor Howard, especially a lot of older people, they're not online every day figuring out what all the county's requirements are. So I think it's an education thing. And then I think it's a revisit here to say, and I'm just brainstorming, but maybe the thing to do is set these timelines where you say, we want this at this stage of the game. Or your permit fee just quadruple or something. You gotta have some teeth somewhere to say.
A penalty.
A penalty for say, if we didn't get it by this stage and you've moved on and all that, well, I hate it, you knew about it, but here's what it's gonna cost you now.
But the only way, and I'm envisioning, and I could be wrong, the only way you're gonna really be able to do that, to address your point, say for instance, a developer's already started and they put a couple $1 million in the ground, and the county would just about have to hire an inspector. Somebody, because you can't just ride around the county looking, but an inspector, if hired by the county, that would be part of their, if they hear about a development, or if they are riding and they see a development, and they pull in and say, listen, I need to see your permit, I need to see that you've been through the correct process. And if they hadn't, they've got to have some teeth to say, well, you got to shut this project down right now.
And right now you don't.
And we don't have that. But again, that's another cost, that's another vehicle, that's another insurance. But if these things are important to the county,
How much money will they save us on the road situation, on everything else? I think that somebody like that would be.
You can look at it that way.
They would be saving us a ton of money on the, on the front end, instead of going back and having to redo a lot of things on the back end. especially your waste, you know, your water, your sewers, your roads, the whole nine yards. I mean, he would pay for himself, you know, from, you know, what it would cost us on the back end, going back and, you know, having to refix things.
But that's the only way I can see that you would actually be able to enforce.
And I will tell you, the first part of our conversation with these folks coming in is never thou shalt. It's always, we wanna encourage you to build in the county. It's not our intent to hinder you in any way. We just wanna make sure our people are taken care of, our infrastructure is taken care of. We wanna do whatever we can to work with you. That's been our attitude. And we've let them know that even this document, as rudimentary as it is not intended to keep you from doing something. But I have to agree with Supervisor Howard. I think if you know, there's gotta be some teeth in here somewhere, whether it's monetary or otherwise, and it's gonna be a full-time job for somebody to, it's a full-time job, as Mr. Lawrence knows now, just to route it through everybody that needs to see it.
I think too, you need to reach out to other counties and see, I mean, you're not having to reinvent the wheel, there's gotta be counties in the state that we can, what county is the?
What we've got is work that I put together, researching other states and counties on, that were in this, I'll call it the same phase of growth and development that we are. I'll admit, just one more statement before I sit down, and we'll do road and bridge stuff later, but your thoughts about the comprehensive plan, sure. And there are references to some code things in there, sure. But the question that's on the application form says, have you adopted a building code? Whether it be the IBC or UC or this, not that you've adopted a comprehensive plan, I'm not saying it's bad, but the question is gonna be, have you adopted a code?
And those codes are, that particular code is very, well, I say liberal, flexible, but it's what kind of working out.
I've had some of this conversation. There are a lot of things that might be in those codes that cannot be met. Okay, I mentioned one day, there's communities that adopted a code that said you would have a fire flow of, 1,200 gallons a minute. Well, there ain't a fire hydrant in the county that can do 700, you know? So there's things like that are gonna come up. But the code also, if you dig deep enough, it gives you the ability to waive some of that stuff. And they may come up time after time after time as we find out what they are. But, you know, you have some flexibility in there.
Okay, I think all that is a good point. I'm sure that we all would agree that we're one person short. Someone to actually go out and review those sites prior to the construction actually taking place and moving forward to completion. So now how do we move forward from there and get the guidelines to be able to enforce, so that person can enforce those guidelines as they go out and review those projects? That's something we need to address, I believe, and continue to think about.
Do we need to look into what type of person we'd need to hire, how much they would cost, so at least we can know those answers, you know, if that's something we all, you know, decided to do?
Well, one of the things that helped me in my area, and I know people may frown on this too, was when the city annexed in my area. That was a help. Because the city, you know, has a different approach to it. I know people have concerns about that. But in my district, if a developer wants to come there, they would be hampered because Clayton Village is at their maximum. They can't take anybody until they upgrade their water system. And then they got issues with East Oktibbeha that has issues with Mississippi State University that's having issues with the city of Stark because they're having some concerns about the sewage as far as its capability. So if someone is out contemplating a development on that side of town, you know, I would tell you to put the brakes on it because you got to deal with those three challenges. Now I don't know what's going on in y'all's district, you know, because I know all of our districts are different. Y'all may be praying for major development.
But that automatically, Center Grove Water Association comes to mind. They're at their capacity. They can't take on anybody else, so that would be another deal we'd have to look at. as far as water supply. You know, they're in the process right now of trying to get a grant and put in a bigger well to be able to supply more. So, but there's challenges to what we're trying to do that we, you know, we need to work through.
So we're really looking at enforcing, you know, situations, but we're also looking at infrastructure situations with the water associations, with the water, with sewage, with all, you know, with all of that. And it sounds like that I mean, he's got projects going, you got stuff out there, you got there, we're here. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's not like something we can go, hey, well, we'll wait till 2 years from now. I mean, people are gonna be building and we're gonna be scrambling, trying to catch up instead of being proactive. We're gonna remain reactive. And that's a bad situation, you know, for us to be in.
To follow up the supervisor trainer, but one of ours right now is aware of the situation in Clayton Village with water. He's aware of the wastewater in Mississippi State, East Octave Hall, and the city. I mean, they're fully aware and they're deep in it. They ain't putting the brakes on nothing. They still investing money in it. They still say, we're gonna do this, it's gonna happen, this all get worked out one day. Ain't nobody putting the brakes on it.
So, and you can monetize that, because you're talking about what, I'm just gonna say a $20 million investment?
Probably.
Okay, or whatever, you can put the dollar on it to see exactly how much tax dollars you're gonna get. And then, of course, whatever we get, you know, the school district's gonna get more.
Correct.
So I mean, and you can put the pencil on that. And then just let you know something else is going on out there. These solar farms.
Yes,
You know anything about that?
and all this clear cut and all that going on. How we going? Yeah, I mean, and that's, I guess what I'm trying to say is, and I know, you know, my mind, you know, goes, I got a little ADD, so I got about 15 things running at one time, and I keep up with them, you know, that's there. That's why sometimes I run a little ahead, and I'm like, all right, we're here. That sounds like something we really need to, like, make a motion on, to try to look into what it's gonna cost us to get somebody, what type of person we need to get, you know, for this, you know, and what our, you know, expenditures would be on it. But also, we need to try to expedite, you know, him to maybe try to come up with some of these codes and penalties and things that we can go ahead and adopt and put in place before this blows up on us. You know, because if we have this overflow of, you know, water, sewage, roads, we're gonna be in a bad financial situation, you know, with a lot of people, and the builders do not care, because they're not liable right now for anything. And they're gonna be making a ton of money, and we're gonna be taking care of it. And that's wrong.
Well, County has done a great job, but we are playing catch up and keep up. Right now, I think probably the best approach from what I'm hearing, you know, we've got all of these issues, but the best approach is again, maybe trying to shave our point system, so we can maybe reach out for federal dollars to help us address some of these issues. You know, we're gonna need some help.
Oh, we are, but I think we need, no matter what happens, I think we're gonna have to find out that we're gonna need somebody, you know, at least find out if we can look into how much all that's gonna cost us, you know, and what type of person, and, you know, that sort of stuff, you know, what our cost on that would be, because, I mean, it sounds like people are going and blowing and doing, and we have nothing to control anything with. You know, and I mean, no disrespect to anybody or anything, but we can keep talking about it, but if we don't start the ball rolling, we're still gonna be talking about it next year, and they're gonna be built.
I'm gonna throw another little thing in the hopper from my administration's office. She need a tech person.
That's on my
You
list.
know, I mean, Tibaw County is, you know, technology is just, and we need to catch up, you know, so she needs to hire a person, and so I'm just, you know, we've got a lot to be looking at.
Not only that, your road manager's gonna come up, and he got something in the package
Yeah.
that we don't.
But I just
Yeah,
threw
like-
that in to let you know, we looking at positions, but we can't just concentrate on infrastructure. We've also got, technology issues that we should have had somebody hired 10 years ago, honestly. But I just threw it,
Yeah.
Once the public water supply has been taken care of, where water is being provided to those communities, if we still don't have public wastewater accommodation, if we don't have public wastewater accommodation, people are still not gonna build multi-type units within that particular area. So we do need public wastewater to be able to accommodate new construction. If we don't have it, regardless of how much water is being provided to that particular location. If we don't have a public wastewater supply accommodation, they're still not going to build in that area. So we do need to be looking at ways in which we can provide public wastewater to those locations. There are many individuals, when a water system gets so it cannot accommodate the individuals who is on that system, the state will shut them down until they make provisions to accommodate those individuals who are trying to get onto the system. And that would be a good way to apply for federal dollars, state dollars, because there's no way to accommodate any additional individuals. I've been a part of a system that has 3 wells, and that's one of the reasons why that system has a 3rd well, because it got to the point where it couldn't accommodate the individuals that wanted to get onto the system. So we can work on the water supply. But if we work on the water supply and don't have public wastewater, then we still not going to be able to get the type of development to take place in our communities that we want to happen.
Mr. Williams, since you mentioned that, we had a presentation by Mr. Price a month or so ago, weeks ago, whenever like that. And I don't think we've had any type of response. But I think that we need to pass a board order to get him here so we can have a response to the inquiries that we had. Because, of course, we got some money with ARPA that we got set aside for wastewater. And of course, you hear all the needs and everything that we got here now. And we really need some direct information to determine exactly how that process is going so we can make some plans. And I think we were waiting on him to respond back to us, to give us some insight on some things.
How much money is it?
Well, I think we have, what, 1.3?
We have allocated to East October Hall wastewater expansion 3.5 million of opera funds. We have not given them any because we have to set it up on a grant, like reimbursable. They have to do the work, then give me the document to get paid. So we have not paid out any dollars to that project, but we have 3.5 allocated to it.
And the state is gonna match that.
Yeah, the state will match
Dollar for dollar.
3.5, so we're talking about the possibility of having $7 million to accommodate the provisions of wastewater accommodation.
Where exactly is east?
Clayton Village, but now the expansion is going to kind of slide around the county. They're gonna look at going toward the southern end also. So it could encompass Clayton Village, I guess it could encompass probably some of Blackjack. It could even also encompass some of Talking Warriors territory, couldn't it?
Yeah, but I think it's a good start.
But
It's a good start to start moving over the whole county.
whole county.
We have to start somewhere. I'm
gonna tell you, I'm starting to try to ride outside of my district. I think I've learned District 1 pretty well, but man, this is a big county. I'm just telling you, that's the first time we're getting out. I'm gonna ask a lot of questions exactly. Has everybody got the ArcGIS field map through Toby and Pete? Man, that was an amazing app. And get out and look at your water districts and your bridges and your creeks and everything, I mean, fire hydrants, so I'm using that, and at least I know when I transition from 4 to 5, you know, I kinda know where I'm at, who's different from him, but I've had to use that map almost every day riding around. Sorry, I'm asking.
I like that
I'm
motion.
just asking.
I make a motion that we contact East October wastewater for a follow-up on wastewater activity.
And Mr. Dwight Prosser,
Do white price, but I just say whoever they want to send, either him or their representative,
with
whoever.
East Octavia Hall wastewater motion that we have, East Octavia Hall wastewater to come in and give us an update
Right.
on, where we are with those, funds.
Is there a timeline on that ARPA fund?
It is, it has to be spent by 2026.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna second, but then I want discussion before we vote.
Second.
I
Second by
thought,
Supervisor Howard.
I thought that we assigned our board attorney to reach out to Mr. Prysock and review these contracts and review where, when Mr. Prysock came the last time, did we not, ask our board attorney to reach out to Mr. Prysock? Because we've got some questions and some issues with what's going on with maybe the way things are being done. And we want some clarity on that. I thought we did we not?
I don't recall asking Rob, but I do know, this board asked Mr. Dwight to give you some documents showing plans, and his discussion was, they just finished some things and they looking for people for different things, but I'll have to ask Rob, I don't
Okay.
know.
But-
I'll have to
but-
follow
yeah.
up with Attorney Robertson on that.
But I'll second that motion.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any further discussion? If not, all in favor? Any opposed? Motion carried.
Sure. Do you recall how that board order, or if Attorney Robertson was asked to follow
I
up?
believe he was,
I'm pretty
but I'll have to
sure.
go back and look.
I'd have to
at the
look. I don't
orders.
remember.
But I
I don't
believe that
recall.
when he was here, the board did tell Attorney Robertson to look into the contracts.
I'm almost positive that we did.
I'll follow up on that.
Okay.
And he's not here because he's in session, Attorney Robertson, but I will follow up on that.
Okay.
And I'll reach out to Mr. Prysock as well.
Okay, observation, coming from the, chair. An observation is that those opera funds have to be, in place, or planned by 2024. Now, what does that mean? Does it have to be, when 2024 come in, everything has to be planned out, or somewhere within the year of 2024?
The funds,
Before 2025, we have to have everything planned.
the funds have to be allocated to a project. We did that in 3 minutes in 2022 maybe.
Right.
So all the funds are allocated to something. Some funds have been paid out to some projects. Top Road was one of them. Maybe Sturgis, maybe Sturgis. That project, the East October Hall wastewater expansion in the county lake. The newest project that came aboard is the public safety software through 365 Lab that was presented through our EMA director, Christian Campanella, and Supervisor Howard reallocated some of the funds from the county lake to that project. So all the funds have been allocated to something. As of today, there's no just money out there. However, some of it has not been paid out. So we still have it in our possession. So I think that's what this discussion is about the East October Hall. But yeah, all the funds have been allocated and will have to be spent, and we have to do annual reports on that. And we have to present all the documents when it comes to opera.
My concern is that since they have been allocated by 2024, do we have the option of opportunity to go back and change anything that has already been allocated? Can we do it now within
Yes.
2024?
Yes,
That's-
if you haven't spent it, you can reallocate. That's exactly what happened in District 3. You can
Right.
reallocate it to whatever project you want to, as long as we still have the money. Of course, you can't get it back once you spent it. But yes, sir, you can.
Well, it said by 2024, so does that mean within the year of 2024 we can reallocate? After 2024, can we still reallocate?
I think up until the point we may have to send it back to the state, you can do whatever you want to. I did put in your mailbox last week the guidelines. Clearwater representatives were here. Supervisor Trainer asked them if they can get us an update. I print that off, I put it in your mailbox. So that's to your discretion, this board discretion to do what you wanna do with those funds. So yes, sir, you can reallocate it now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
But we did wanna try to offer funds to make sure it's some project that would get the matching money, right?
Get the matching money, yes.
Okay.
Now, that matching wasn't through us, that was just East October wastewater expansion. Whatever the county gave, the state would match. That was just on that project. Everything else was kinda just in-house that we were doing. If that's what you was asking.
Yeah,
Okay,
that makes sense now.
okay.
The state doesn't match all projects.
No.
But the state does match projects that they're interested in matching.
Yes.
I think that answers your question.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Lord.
No problem. Okay, so next we have, we have several contracts, and there's, new laws that we have to update every contract that we have, even with some of our rental property. But I only put in this package the two main contracts that, I just kinda wanted to bring you up to date with. There are several others, a lot of it is by the departments, maybe software or copiers or printers or, that type of thing. But the first one I have is the interlocal agreement that we have with the city of Starkville, to collect the city's taxes. And we receive from the city $60,000 annually that goes to the tax collector's office. The previous tax assessor came and part of it went toward the tax collector's salary, and then the other portion went to the operation because that staff is collecting. So that's this interlocal agreement with the county and the city, okay?
Correct.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So we haven't updated this since 21?
But I think this goes through,
I thought it'd be, look at annual. It's an annual contract, right?
is it annual or was
I
it
thought
for
it
2
said-
years?
It's at the beginning, the
like
contract,
that
initial
September
term for
30th.
1 year.
Mm-hmm.
And automatically renewed on an annual basis unless terminated. So it's been, so in other words, we need to see whether this is, I guess it would be a determination based upon the current tax assessment.
And I'll have to get the board attorney involved, with this, but I'll contact Attorney Robinson.
So it's automatically renewed, okay. But it can't be looked at it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir. I'll follow up on that. The next contract we have is with the Golden Triangle Cooperative Service District, and this is collecting the trash for Oktibbeha County. So we have contracted with Golden Triangle Wastewater District, is that kind of what it's called?
No.
Waste service.
Waste service.
Waste service.
Solid waste, yeah.
Solid waste, yes, okay. So they pick up the trash for the county. We don't have the manpower to do that. That's what this contract is, okay? With this contract, we receive garbage cans. And we pick them up, we deliver them down to our central shop on Industrial Park Road, and each supervisor is responsible for delivering cans in your district. Also, just let the board know, we now have a truck for District 4.
I know y'all have.
We have it picked up, and Supervisor Little and I had that conversation prior to, because I informed her we did not have a truck, but we'd definitely get one if she would. And I did explain the importance of her having it, because you're not fully able to carry out your duties if you don't have what you need to do that. So we do have your truck now, it's parked over there, and you can come and get it after this meeting. We got it picked up last week. We do receive so many garbage cans a year with this contract, and once we picked up all of them, that's it. So how you issue them in your district, that's up to you, and some of the seniors can kind of chime in on that and maybe give you some pointers.
What helps, also with saving garbage cans, not using them up before the new allotment comes in, they also order parts. Sometimes there may be a good garbage can, just the wheels are gone bad. Well, they've got parts, they've got axles and wheels, and I do a lot of repairs to some garbage cans, top can be replaced. And that'll save you from using your new garbage cans and getting them used up, cause sometimes you hit a stretch, man, it's like every day, a couple of people calling needing a new garbage can. But if you don't mind, can I back up a little bit
Yes,
on,
yeah,
on
please.
this?
Please.
Although we are contracted with, but we are also part owners of that company. That company, this garbage company, is owned by Oktibbeha County, Webster County, and Lowndes County. This was a cooperative put together some 25, 30 years ago from the old boards. And they came together and they formed this company, and they all put money in to purchase the trucks, and all of this is owned by us. Now, we have 2 trustees on that board. Each county has 2 trustees.
6 total appointments?
6 total appointments. On that board that makes decisions for this board. That board decides, you know, garbage fees, garbage rates, whether we're gonna order new trucks and things of that nature. But then the breakout part is this contract that she's talking about, per county. You know, Lowndes County doesn't get garbage receptacles. Their contract is drawn up different. They don't want to have to deal with them. But this board, this company also services the city of Columbus, the city of Eupora. So they have the leeway to enter into contract with, you know, something that's beneficial for that board. So that's just a little history on this board. But back to her in this contract, that's what Oktibbeha County's contract is with the company.
And they did go up on their fees this year, but this board decided not to. It's $13 per resident.
$13.50, yeah.
Something per resident.
13, yeah.
And Golden Triangle Planning and Development collect those fees for us, and they settle to us monthly.
So the 13 was the suggested new rate or the old rate?
No, that's the county's rate to the county's residents.
And y'all turned down, we turned down the new rate, which would be?
No, we didn't turn it down. They went up on their collection overall, but we chose not to in Oktibbeha County. But we had to acknowledge theirs because they did.
Yeah.
We still at $13.
13.50.
We at 13.
13 something.
$13.
The way it works, the company charges each county or whomever they serve a per customer rate. And I think the company went up to what, 80
cents, I believe.
Yeah, it was some sense.
Yeah.
And for Oktibbeha, I think it's roughly 8,000, because we get that number
Yeah.
every month that they collect for us.
So,
8,500
Yeah.
or something roughly.
So-
Yes, yes.
so what we do, we pay them a certain amount per customer to pick up the garbage. And let's just say, for example, $8. That's what we pay the company. But we charge citizens $13. So we can in turn pay that, and then we have a little money to, you know, do other
We
things.
pay the landfill.
Yeah, and have to pay the
Landfill.
tipping fees at landfill. So that extra cost that we put on top of what they charge us is to.
About the garbage cans, I delivered my first one on Friday, I guess. We're down to slim pickings now. Maybe is it time for another allotment, and how many do we get a year? I told Mr. Victor, I'm gonna personally, for my, you can ask me at the end of the year, I'll tell you name, I'm just gonna do every name and address, because I'll forget, somebody calls me in a year, I guess one this time last year.
It's gonna be 600 is what we get per year.
Thank you.
That's the number we got this morning from them, and they do not have any cans in yet, so, they're gonna let us know something a little bit later today of when they think they're gonna be in. And, chiming on what you said, we got an opportunity, since we were delivering cans from District 4, we got an opportunity, and we did a few for District 1. If the supervisor is out and they can't do it, and they call us, I'll send our sign guy out to deliver cans for you. But what we run into, and we found out that we are delivering a lot of cans, 4 and 5 cans, to the same resident within this year. And that's reason I think it's a good thing that we need to turn, if the supervisor, and it's up to you all, if you all would turn in those garbage can address so we can keep a record of them, so we can know where, cause 6 cans to a resident, that's a little overwhelming. And that's the highest, it's 6 is the highest number we have done last year. But it's some that have gotten 5, it's some that have gotten 3. I hadn't, in the whole thing of having a garbage can, I've only had 2. Somebody run over one of mine and I got another. But 2 to me and 6 to another person, that's a little bit overwhelming.
We just need to have that level of accountability, and like I said,
Yes.
I'm gonna do that for me, so if in a year, that I'll forget, somebody calls you up. But I was just under the assumption that it was a supervisor's responsibility to deliver them. Do we just bring those other ones back and drop them off at Central? Like I got one in the back of the truck, would I drop it back off at Central?
Yeah, we've got it.
Oh, you picked it, the one you picked up?
Right.
Okay.
What do I do with it? Do I drop it back off at Central?
That's what they've been doing.
I just wondering.
Or
Yeah.
you can put an X on it
Yeah.
and contact Benny and they'll pick it up, give them the address.
Oh, just spray paint
When
X
they
on
do
it.
it right,
and
they'll
just
take
If
contact
it's all busted up and running.
Right,
Yeah.
just let them know to pick it up.
Yeah.
Probably what you do is send you Benny Martin normally, well, I don't just text, you just text them and say, well, hey, pick up a can with X on it on XYZ road next time y'all out there, they'll get on.
Okay.
I'll get that
But we
number.
really shouldn't have the 1 can per resident. I don't know how 6 cans per resident happen.
I think what he's saying is if people have requested up to 6 cans within a year, so don't know what's happening. Is that what you?
Yeah, that's what I'm
Don't
saying.
know what's happening
They
to the other
requested up
5.
to 6 cans in a year. I think it's basically negligence.
And how
I
much
think
do
one of our
cans
guys
cost?
went out and somebody had, I don't know what happened, but the can was melted down.
Melted?
Yeah, they put fire in it some type of way. Batteries will do it. If you put batteries in them sometime, they'll get together and they'll start a fire. But it's just negligence, and when a person gets to over a couple of cans a year with negligence, I think it's time to address it.
They gotta pay. How much do garbage cans cost?
It doesn't cost a resident, it costs $100, I believe.
That's what I was wondering, what was the
Yeah.
cost, the cost per can?
They're over $100.
per can.
I'm not sure exactly how much, but I know they're over $100 per
Do
can.
they have that little tracking thing in them now?
No, they don't.
They don't. I don't think these do.
But now that each can does have a number on it. If you wanna deliver it and write that number down, each individual can has a number, and you can track that number. If you happen to go cause I tell you a lot of times what happens is, and you'll ride around, you'll see some people with 2 garbage cans, 3 garbage cans when they're only supposed to have 1. But what happens is, they know I moved out down the street,
Yeah, grab it.
and they'll just grab that can and take it on to that place. You get a lot of requests, can I have a second can? But what the garbage company is good about, people can go to Walmart and buy one of those cans, 2 of those cans, and they'll still go ahead and dump them. They're good about that, rather than, that's what I tell people when can you bring me another can, because you can't, unless you wanna pay double bill.
And they will do that, because I think from time to time they do an inventory. If
Yeah.
you got more than 1 can at a resident, they will send you 2 bills.
They'll send you 2
And then you'll
bills.
be called, and then we'll be able to go pick up a can. I've had that happen.
Yeah. One other thing that
Multiple
will,
bills.
one other thing that will happen, and we've talked to them, Supervisor William and myself about this. Those guys, because it's difficult to handle an old can that's got ragged, no wheels on it, and the little bar is gone where they lift it and dump it. So what they gonna do is they'll get tired of it, they'll just throw it on the truck. And they're not always good about letting Mary Ann know, well, call Supervisor Carver and let him know this address, we picked up old ragged can so he can take another one. Well, the resident will rock on out there 2 or 3 weeks and a can is gone, wonder what happened to my can, well, maybe they're gonna bring another one. And nobody will say anything, all of a sudden you'll get this call from an irate, customer. My can's been gone 3 weeks, my can's been gone a month. They still sending me my garbage bill, I hadn't had my garbage picked up. So you run into that, but we constantly work on. Mary Ann tell her, look, make sure them guys, as soon as they pick it up and get back in the truck, jump on the radio.
Mary Ann
is the CEO of the company that runs the company out there. And she can call our administrator sometime, and let them know, listen, call supervisor and let them know that a can needs to be delivered to, So those are some of the issues that you might run into.
Might be an idea to ride the district to see whether there's a can that has missing wheels or missing lid, and maybe you can repair that can. If you can't repair it, the supervisor trainer say put an X on it, a red X on it. That's an indication that that can need to be picked up, need to be replaced.
Okay, next you have, Miss Lindsay Raymond James provided for me all the bonds that we have in our debt that we have that we're paying. I've had conversation with her and I'm familiar with this, but I think if you have some specific questions, I would love to have representative from the company come to kind of go more in depth. I don't want to misinform or mislead because this can get very confusing. But this, for the most part, just kind of give you an idea of the debt that we have, the bonds that we issued. The last one we received was in 2021, $10 million. With that, we purchased the building on Lynn Lane. We also purchased some equipment and it did some road work. 2 districts still have bond funds from that 2021, District 4 and District 5. District 1, 2, and 3 only have their 4-year road play money, but I'll get into that. But that's, just kind of show you the bonds that we've issued and what the debt that we have that we paid.
So do you, I'd like to accept the administrative recommendation, and get them to come in and kind of do an overview for us.
Okay.
I don't know whether they need to board all of that, but.
Yeah, I would like to have a board.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer that we have Mr. James come in to do an overview, get us updated. Second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions?
I would just want to really talk about bond indebtedness and what our comfortable rates are. I know there's 15 and 20-year limits and things like that, and it looks to me like the county's in really good financial state.
We are, but we are.
Yeah, it looks like a low number to me. I want to understand. You're saying there's bond indebtedness in 2 to 5 and 1, 2, and 3. I guess just have a 4-year road plan.
So we.
I guess I was just to finish that. I'd like to ask Lindsay what our capabilities for margin are on more indebtedness if we were taking on a big project or something.
That's where I would bring someone in to discuss that.
Lindsay's our agent with Raymond James?
Yes, that I work with.
Okay.
So I will.
And also government
consultant, Leonard's and
Nick
Nick.
Solar and that group.
Yeah.
Would Nick come too?
If he's available, I'll reach out to him.
Maybe the whole team.
Yeah.
And we got something. I'm gonna ask questions about the hospital indebtedness. Like, how does that fall into the county of that 7.64%? And
Now I do have the hospital financials. We met with them September last year, I think it was. Maybe it was last year.
is it separate from here?
It is.
Okay.
Because they're independent. They have a board that do their own. We meet with them annually where they go over their financials with us and they provide us that. The board acknowledges that information, but I don't have that with this because this was just county.
Yeah.
But if you come by the office, well, I can make a copy and put it in your mailbox.
I've just been hearing some numbers coming out of the hospital telling y'all, and I don't know yet, so I'd like to start the hospital discussion in the next year just to look at those numbers, if that's the true numbers. As a constituent, I guess I've never privy to the correct financial information, but things I heard out campaign, I'd like to see those financials too. And if that's an independent board, I guess somebody from the hospital is going to come explain. The stuff I got off the internet I can print off, but I know there's more than that out there, and to understand what financial standing they're in and the validity of the numbers that I've seen.
Now, I'm gonna put that in your mailbox, but do you want me to also contact Mr. Jackson? Is that an
Whoever-
order?
I mean, yeah, I think as a new supervisor, I'd like to see.
Is that your motion
the
for
things-
me?
Yes, ma'am, I know.
So can we carry
I
this
don't know.
motion through and
Yeah.
then,
Yeah.
We need to vote
been
on the
motion and
first
second,
motion.
motion by Supervisor Howard, Trainer,
Trainer.
second by Supervisor Howard. Are there any additional comments or questions? If not, all in favor?
Alright.
Any opposed? Motion carries, 5-0. Now, about having hospital representatives come in, I think we have a motion, by Supervisor Carver that we have hospital representative come in to give us an update, financial situation. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Supervisor Trainer. Do we have any additional questions? No additional questions, all in favor?
Alright.
Motion carries.
I didn't mean to put all this on the next meeting, but I mean, we
It
can
may
do
not
that.
be the
not-
next
it may
meeting.
not be.
I don't know their schedule, I'm just gonna reach out to
know.
them. It may not be the next meeting,
Yeah,
I'm
Maybe
just
the
gonna
next 4 or
contact.
5 and space all these things out. But
I don't know, I'll
I'm
reach out to
sorry.
them to get their availability. In the meantime, I will go ahead and put that in everyone's mailbox.
That's important.
Okay, next what you have, and I didn't give everyone a copy, but for your district, you have your, for your road plan budget allocation. So everyone has their own, you don't have everyone. But at the top of it, it'll say,
Mm-hmm.
I got that secret.
Okay.
That's yours.
You're
We want you got
I saw District 1, when I was looking at it over the weekend, I was
So
like.
that's how you saw
You
it.
said for it?
Yeah, that is that. Alright.
and y'all send
You were.
everybody got hurry.
Yeah.
Y'all send us everyone.
That's for everyone.
Yeah, that's for everyone.
Yeah, right, everyone on that one.
So we got that straight.
Okay, at the top of that form, you should have your district number, okay? And so for the 4 years, for the 4-year term, you get a total of $537,600. That's for the 4 years, okay? But we have to budget yearly. So 1 year, you get $134,400. That's just the 4-year road plan money. Now again, District 4 and District 5 have additional funds, which are the bonds, and that should reflect at the bottom. You should see what you have. So that report will show you to date your balance that you have. The 4-year road plan will have to be adopted, say by February 1st. Each supervisor will need to get with the road manager to decide on the roads that you are going to work on this year. Now the next sheet would have construction in progress, which are roads you just inherited. The older supervisors, they know these are roads they were working on last year. District 1 and District 4, you inherited some projects. District 1, Sturgeon Maven Road, that's a state aid project. And then District 4, your list would have, look like 4 roads that are construction in progress, which means those are roads we're working on. So, that being said, there's still funds in your budget that has to be paid on these roads because we're working on them. So you get with Victor, he can tell you what the plan was for those roads, what was done, how much it's gonna cost, so you can stay within your budget. Now, that being said, I highly encourage this board, this coming budget year, to up the allocation. $134,000 is not enough money to do nothing with, because you only get that in 1 year, every year. So you don't have the full 500 right
Can't roll them
now.
into 2-year projects.
That's up to you. You talking about a road?
No, I'm saying 134,000, can you, if you have bigger projects, 260,000?
Well, just do so much of it this year and then pick up the next year. Yes. So I highly encourage this board to up that. We start working on the budget. We send it out in June to the departments. Miss Deanna Collier will be making the presentation this year and next year. Because of my plans. But that being said, you need to come up with an amount, and we can have this conversation later on after you all get with Victor and kind of see the cost, because things have gone up. So this is not going to go far at all. Now what amount you thinking to up it? We can have conversation and we can see if it's doable.
Now, this amount is just material, or is it hours, or is it a combination of all
That's
of it?
everything.
Okay.
That's everything. These roads, these are the roads, your 4-year road plan roads are the roads that we call capitalization roads, that we have to do reports for the audit on. And so that's why this is very important that you stay within your budget, because when it get out of whack, I have to explain it to the auditors why you spent 500,000 but you only had 100, you know.
To follow up on Supervisor Trainer question though, and this discussion has came up in the past. You know, the county has already allocated for salaries. So we've always not included salaries in this amount because it's already in the budget for salaries. So that part is pulled from. Only thing we in the past has paid for was material, because the cost of the labor and machinery cost is already in the budget.
No, that's correct.
Yeah.
When we're capturing the numbers for budget, for the auditors, we have to capture
Okay.
the salary.
I got
We
you.
have to capture the equipment rate
Got
through
you.
FEMA.
Gotcha.
I guess I just was explaining what we have to do
I got you.
in-house.
Okay.
When where you're doing stuff, it can throw it out of whack. You know?
$134,000 is material costs.
A lot.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
A lot.
Yes.
That's where you and I, we can sit down,
Mm-hmm.
we'll look at a project, we'll get the length of that project, then I can figure the material cost of that project. Because everything is going up. A load of stone now is, what's the new figure?
About $48.
$48 a load. $48 per ton, and a truck only hauls 24 tons. So that'll give you an idea of what stone is at now. So, you know.
I'll say this politically, in the city, we relied heavily more on our engineer. We found over time that the alderman might not be the best to know about the material cost and road conditions. So do y'all, I guess, I know ultimately we can make the decision, but you'll probably see me rely on you a lot, just because you know the problem areas. I mean, I'm gonna learn over time.
What I would do to make sure that you know what you're getting and know what you want to do is we'll go through that. We'll look at your roads and we'll determine the ones that you feel like are the ones that you want to make a repair to. And then we'll figure out how much of that road you want to make a repair to. Or if you don't want to make a repair, if you want to build another road. And take a gravel road, and turn it into a paved road. We'll look at that and we'll get the cost out of it. And a lot of times we'll depend on David at Clyde's office to help us out with a lot of that, as far as making sure that we got that material down pat and all. But you will be the one that determines what road you want to do. I'll just be the one that tells you how much it's going to cost.
Okay. From my own knowledge and for everyone else to clear up everything, if the county is doing a project, everything will be capitalized, but only the material will be deducted from the material cost will be deducted from the 4-year road plan.
Gotcha.
That's correct.
That's
But for audit purpose,
For audit
you need to
purpose,
stay
yeah,
within
yeah.
that amount, because
You have
we
to
have to
capitalize.
justify, try to, as best as we could.
They do a good job of that, keeping up with it, capitalizing, keeping up with it.
Okay,
Thank you.
alright, and so the next thing you have, and this is just for your information, I put in your package a list of the 911 roads in Oktibbeha County, as well as the county road registry. Now your county road registry, these are the roads that the county, we maintain. The 911 is, for 911 purposes, all the roads in the county. But the county road registry, these are the roads that we maintain, and the supervisors can probably chime in a little more on when we say maintain it, or the the road manager, they can explain to you what that entails.
And, I had to kinda explain to my assistant, cause one day I caught him, he was on the phone talking to a citizen. And if it's a 911 road, we can't maintain it, but we can still provide service to that citizen. Just say if they call in and they have trash on that road, our truck can still bag down that road and pick up that debris. But we just can't do anything to that road unless it has a bus turnaround on it. Then we can maintain it as a bus turnaround. But that's about the only way that it can be maintained.
Is that, if a kid graduates from school and bus no longer goes down that road, is it no longer a serviceable
Then
road?
we ask the school to give us an updated report every year, and we try to take those off that list.
So I've got 3 or 4 of mine. I'm trying to figure out exactly what a 911 road is, like, I think Winsbrook and, Kitty Lane and things like that, so.
That should
most-
be on
Look
my.
on the checklist.
Do like Highway 2.
So, like 911, why is it a 911 designation? What's that word mean?
It wasn't built to county specs at the time when they developed the road.
But
County doesn't like
Only
that.
for emergency purposes.
Yes.
the definition, where this came about was, and Miss Christian is back there, but I forget the number of years it was, but they developed a system so that they could have better reaction time in case of an emergency. So what they did, even if it was a driveway, but if it had 3 residents on that driveway, it became a 911 road and was assigned a 911 address. So that when an emergency call came in, Christian,
It was in 2011, I think.
2011 when this happened. So before 2011, you didn't have 911 roads. But after 2011, to put in this system for better response time and things of that nature, so they easily found these people, 911 roads were put in. Then when a call came in, they could just plug it in the emergency vehicle and they'll take them right to it.
This is when Toby Sanford did it with the GIS and the address, and that was 2011?
Yeah. Yeah.
What
But
do you-
that's the definition of a 911 road. You'll get a lot of people that'll say, you know, can you bring us some gravel? And you have to tell them, well, my road has a name on it, but you have to explain to them it's strictly for 911 purposes.
If you're questioning if it's a road in your district that we can do maintenance on, then you would refer to that county registry. If it's on the county registry, then yes, you can contact, the road manager to go fill a pothole or whatever it may be.
What is this low, high, and all that?
You said low, high.
On the 911,
Low high, maybe they just a description through.
just like low number 1, high 436 213.
Oh, but that must be the addresses on that road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it must be the address.
Starting at
Starting at that
N.
number.
Yeah.
With an N at that number. And probably want to have a little conversation with Toby. He can tell you all the rhyme and reason behind the number
Yeah.
and the name. And because I think, you know, the numbers are based upon directional.
Every so many
distance.
feet. Yeah.
Every so many feet and everything. It's really interesting how it's done.
So let's say this is a 911 road name. These are the roads that we can only do trash. Like I'm thinking of 3 roads in particular. That's just a road.
I think I know where you're going, and I think it's somewhere to look at. And of course, I don't want to start no deep conversation, but I think that there are some roads out there that we need to look at to see whether there's something that we can possibly do to enhance them. Say, for instance, I'll use this for an example. We got a bus turnaround on the road. That's a 911 road, and there's been children on that road for 20 years. The county's been keeping it up. But it's a 911 road. There probably will be children on that road for the next 20 years. A road like that probably needs to be just make an official county road. So we can go in and improve it and enhance it because, I mean, we're keeping it up anyway, but we're keeping it up as a designated bus turnaround. But it's obvious that there's growth on that road to determine that it should be considered. Densbrook Road, that you mentioned, you know, the road that has houses on it, I think it has quite a few houses. I think it has potential. You know, and I know some other ones out there, but of course I do know that you have some out there that the county may not want them. considered a county road. But it's a hard pill to sell and to tell a citizen, to explain to them why their road is private and there's another road that's public that does not have as many houses on it that their road is.
But all goes back to the developer that did it and whether or not they built the road is fixed.
Well, yes and no. Because prior to, when I first got on the board, it was obvious throughout the entire state of Mississippi that the counties were keeping up roads that were not on the official road register. So what the auditor told the supervisor, he said, look, if you all are keeping up these roads out here, and you want to continue to keep these roads up, put them on the official county road map. So what the supervisors did was, and George Curry and myself did, we found every little road out there that we could, that we thought we wanted to keep up, and we put on that map. That was fine, but the county has grown since then. Yeah. And so now you got some roads out there that you should consider because of the growth of the county. Now, does that have an impact on some of the stipulations and things that you got for developers? That's true. But most of the time, when you get a call, it's from a constituent. There's not a developer, that's trying to get home and trying to get to their livelihood.
So there's roads that are out there that aren't even on the county register?
Oh, well, there are roads out there that are private roads. And of course, most of the roads out there that are private that has, I think, to get 911, which you have to have three or more homes.
Three or more homes on that, yeah.
And you probably got some out there that may have less than that, because you want people to want to be found, for emergency purposes. Mm-hmm. I mean, you may say, well, Trina lives out on the West Point Road. Well, actually, I live on Hickory Grove Road, but my driveway is so long, I'm off of Hickory Grove Road. But it's not one house back in there. But I may decide I want to name it Trainer Lane. So when you come out there looking for me, instead of you being on the south end of Hickory Grove Road, you'll be up there, just little things like that. So.
Of course, we do have guidelines for adopting county roads, and those guidelines does need to be probably relaxed in some situations, like Supervisor Trainer was saying, because they're very strict guidelines as it stands now. Yes.
Okay, so that's the end of it, but at this point, I just want to update you with some projects we do have going on. So real briefly, we do have a safe room on Lynn Lane. That building belongs to Tibahaw County, this board, okay? We are in need of an IT person. We do not have an IT person. However, we really don't have a place to put an IT person, all right? The Felix Loan Building, briefly, that was mentioned. But you can come over to the office and we can get more in depth about this. When we got the bond funds, purchased the building on Lynn Lane, we moved those workers out of the old hospital, which is right there on Felix Loan by Justice Court. We relocated those staff to that new building. So that building is vacant. We're working with now Archives and History to see where we stand with what we can do. The plan is to build a justice building, which our county administration, we need to move out of that building. We've outgrown that space, which means the Board of Supervisors, you all in county administration, we will go to that building. So we need space, and hopefully we will build a new building. We already have $1 million that was allocated to that from legislation to help fund that. And I've been having conversation with some, and they're going to try to help get more money. So that's the project we're working on. Another project is the county lake. We did a public hearing in December. We got federal funds. Soil and Water Conservation are assessing that, and the county is not paying for it. The county has not paid any money out of ARPA funds toward the county lake. The county has paid no money out of ARPA funds toward the county lake. But it is being assessed through Soil and Water Conservation right now. We are not paying a dime. They are doing all of it. I don't see the invoices. I'm not seeing anything. I've given them all the reports that we have, and we did the public hearing, and they just kind of gave us an update as to where we are. Did I miss anything? Anybody?
No. We that was a board order naming Soil and Water as the project managers, so the board would not have to deal with hiring an engineer and keeping up with all the invoices and building and this. Our administration office, they already got a ton of work, and we just thought it would be better to take the board out of that process, so people couldn't be pointing fingers saying, we're putting our fingers on the scale one way or the other. So we just opted to hire Soil and Water Conservation
as the
project manager.
Did you say an NRCS?
soil and water conservation. NRCS, I think, is a different.
Soil and water, they work together.
Yeah, they work together.
Together,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
So
natural
that's the
resource
state
conservation
agency.
system.
Yeah.
And they actually brought in their own engineer and everything.
Absolutely.
They did everything. We had no say. All we gave them was the documents that we have. And they're doing everything.
So was that the state agency, like, we did that bulldog, they paid, you were telling us?
No, that was separate.
Okay.
That was where we
Okay.
found the voids. And we
Yeah.
paid Bulldog
Yeah.
to fill some voids.
Yeah.
But those state or federal Supervisor Howard?
So we're not,
That's federal instead of state, isn't it? Those come from federal funds.
to do the,
Steady.
yeah, the study, that's part of that initial $2 million that is sent to do those studies, and that's coming from the federal funding that we're getting. The county is not paying a cent, it's 100% funded, federally. But the boards you're talking about, now that federal money does not cover any work that has to be done to the levee in this state. It still falls upon, with the levee at the state it is. Those funds take over once the assessment has been done and the recommendation has been adopted. Then the remainder money will come down to make those, but the boards, the county has to pay for that. That's county funding.
And annually, because it's owned by the county, we have to do the inspection. And we did get the letter again this year from MDEQ stating that the conditions are unacceptable. I put a copy of that letter in your mailbox, just to kind of bring you up to date too with what's going on. But outside of that, I'm in my office 8 to 5. Please feel free to come by and visit with me. Any information that I can share, any information that I can share, that's what I'm here for. If you have any recommendations, because you may come in with some fresh ideas, something that I have not thought of. That's how I operate. And if you got ideas or suggestions, tell me. If you need something, if I'm tied up, I can't get to you right then, but I will.
Hey, and I do wanna ask y'all, for something before Mr. Lois leaves, because, I think this is something I need to get y'all's approval on. When I get, stuff from the county, whatever, on our little phones, it is hard for me to be reading on it and doing on it. And I work a lot at home at night, late, just because that's my quiet time. I would like to, ask if I could get a computer. They said over there, that they could keep it safe, like secure for, at the house, and I just need to.
I would say just make board order for any supervisor who wanna get a laptop. Is that what you?
A laptop.
Laptop for district court.
We had that conversation, and the reason and it makes sense, and I told her no one has really asked for it, and we have one in the office, but supervisors trying to come in often, because I highly encourage you to use your county issued email. Because I sometimes send out sensitive documents, so if I'm sending it to your Gmail or your Yahoo or whatever, you do not have the protection that you have with your GTPDD email. And that's why I said if you all get with Tim and do that.
And Tim said he can put all that on the laptop, and everything will be secure and protected.
Second motion.
Alright.
Thank you.
So if anybody else needs one, come by and I'll see if we got the money in our budget.
Thank you very much.
That's a motion. Yeah. I can tell you.
Okay, any
That's a
questions?
motion where I think we got a motion on the table.
Yeah,
We got a
and just
on the
motion
table
and second.
by Ms. Little, for 8 supervisors, big
Uh,
supervisor be awarded a laptop. Laptop for each supervisor, second by Supervisor Trainer. Any questions? All in favor?
Yeah, I've just been bearing with that. I've been saying, man, I need something.
So do everybody want one? You need to tell me, otherwise I need to know what direction.
Yeah, I like it.
I'll just order off.
No, cause I don't wanna waste money. No, I'm not wasting money.
But we do have wireless capabilities here. Cause I'm bringing it, and once we have to,
Oh, yes,
we can access.
we can give you the login.
Okay, once we get there.
I know 3.
No.
No,
Yes.
yes,
Will it come with wireless capability?
no, sir, you have to provide your own internet.
Well, you already doing that, cause you tell them we did. Yeah.
Turn your hotspot on your cell phone, you will not get internet.
You said it?
Are you gonna bring them to the building and work on it?
Well, when you buy the computer, it's gonna come with, that's all, that's part of the car. When you buy
Laptop
it,
come with internet, no?
well, it come with capabilities to connect.
Like you can go to, like you go to McDonald's and use their internet.
Well, be mindful,
standard.
be mindful, if your thing get hacked, you're responsible. So if you go using some outside internet, you're responsible.
I'm using mine secure stuff.
Well,
Put your email on secure.
thank, Ms. Farmer for that presentation. Do you have any questions before, Ms. Farmer completely leave? Or she completely leave, any question that you might have of her?
I've got customers call, I got to go, got little group.
Okay.
I'll call you.
Y'all want
I got one
Now,
thing
we
that,
acknowledge,
I need
yeah.
to present for you.
Can we acknowledge,
Can we just do it in your office?
Well, I can do it right
acknowledge
quick.
Ms.
Let's do mine
Farmer's
first.
presentation?
So move.
Motion by Supervisor Clay, second by Supervisor Howard. Any questions, all in favor? If not, we take a,
Oh, can you let him, he needs to get some sign first, whatever you decide.
okay.
Just a little bit. If you can, real quick, if you don't mind, right here.
Okay, do you need me to make a presentation on
I
that?
just need to request permission to apply.
Okay.
So move.
Second.
You know what he applied for?
I know, look, the administrator
Go
knows
ahead,
something.
tell us about it. Go ahead.
Apply for the FY25 DUI and CBUB grant.
Oh, yeah. Get a
Supervisor
motion.
William, if you don't mind, before we recess, Supervisor Carter needs to leave, and I got something that actually needs to be run through, because it's in this right.
Let's do this motion first. It's, highway trainer.
Supervisor by, motion by trainer, second by. Trainer, okay. All in favor? Motion carries 5.
Apply for DUI and CPS.
Okay, you need
He
to,
was gonna do mine.
Just,
right before
I'll do
mine.
that one thing, and then we can go into a recess.
okay.
If you don't
okay.
mind.
You wanna come forward and?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna recess so he can reconvene again.
No, we're
I'm going for the day.
We can, well,
Okay,
You up.
pass these around if y'all don't mind.
Okay, yes, sir.
This is Maiden Sturgis Road, and I'm gonna pass these around also. Make sure everybody gets one. Has everybody got one? Okay. Alright. Okay, just right quick, and then we can go into a recess.
You got 2.
Let's go to the one here where the dozer, where you can see the dozer sitting facing us. That's the place where you all made, did a board order to fix. I just want you to let you know that it has been fixed. And these are some pictures of it right there. Now, we got it, that's on the Maven Sturgis Road, I'm sorry. That's on Maven Sturgis Road. This is in the last board meeting, we got a board order to fix this void that was slipping down the hill that had slipped to the pavement. This is the repaired item right there, that's good. Okay, now, we got one that's worse than that, on the same road. I'm sorry, but if you look at the first picture, that's got my pickup on it. If you'll look off to your right, at the bottom of that picture, right there where the tree stand, if you'll look down, you'll see it kind of dark in there. That's a deep hole. Everything, if you can see that the road is slushing off, it's going to that hole. We got Mr. Pritchard in here. We're gonna actually have to have, I need to get a board approval to fix this. And it's gotta be fixed quick, because if it don't, it's gonna compromise the road, and this is near Double Springs Church, if you happen to need to know where it at.
Do we have a motion?
Hold on one second. We're also gonna need a right of way on this one, cause it's a deep gully, it's just straight down, so, Mr. Pritchard, we're gonna need your help on that one also. So if we wanna put all that into the motion.
Your motion,
Move approval.
include everything.
Move right away.
Motion by, Supervisor Palmer, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, I can wait until we go to, I know everybody probably, I had to run down to the bathroom myself, so I can wait to finish mine.
Are we planning on doing out Supervisor Training Man's suggestion and reset to another day?
So he can meet again.
Until he can meet again.
Y'all like mornings or evenings or?
Morning, Bill.
I could meet tomorrow morning early for an hour.
How much longer do you think we'll go if we stay?
And this
I only
is set
got
aside- this
about
date is
probably
set aside for this.
15
So
minutes at the most.
She's got 15 minutes.
It's gonna be,
Before we recess, however, we do have some other department heads that are here, and maybe they would want to go ahead on it. Would you please come forward and introduce yourself, just basically introduce yourself so the new supervisors can know who you are.
Hi.
Hey, good morning.
Happy New Year to everyone.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stand up, I'm gonna be brief. I'm Patricia Hobson with the Veterans Affairs Office, and I will be seeing you quarterly to give you an update on what I've been doing, and they'll go from there. And the next big project I got coming up is going to the National. We'll give a little presentation about what Mississippi's been doing there, and that's gonna be in May, first part of May, so I'll be there and I'll be informing y'all about that. We do it here quarterly, so you'll see me there. And I know most of y'all have my cards over here, here's some for y'all, and y'all may not have them. It was that one right here. I think I brought enough in. Okay, I will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Get a motion for acknowledgement. So moved. Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Palmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Good morning. I want to keep mine pretty brief. I know you're in a hurry. You got something to get to. When I took over the fire department, we were kind of staying on an even keel. The last couple of years, we've been ordering a lot of trucks. We've ordered 13 trucks. We got 5 coming in now, so we've been planning to catch up. This year is going to be a tough year, and I know I listen a lot, and I hear all y'all talking about the growth and how the county got growing. We're probably going to have to make some changes, where I'm going to pitch to the board, make some changes. I'd like to talk to y'all individually and meet with y'all. I know this is not the day and not the time, but like I said, I'm trying to make this quick. But I want to reiterate what Supervisor Howard said. You know, I'm not planning. This is stuff that I'm not planning for right now. This is stuff that's we're planning and making changes for things that are coming 10 to 15 to 20 years down the road. And it's inevitable they're going to have to happen. And I do have some numbers here and everything. But you know, I'll just give you an example here. In 2007, 2008, we were having 700 calls. Well, now we've doubled those calls in 10 years. So we're running 1,500 calls in the county, and those are, you know, compared to the city. You know, I do some comparisons. Now if I get my numbers right, 1,500. They're in the 2000s, but a lot of those are false alarm calls. Ours are actual. We don't have any false alarm calls, so it's putting a stress and it's stretching the fire department thin in a lot of ways. The last couple of years we've been working on equipment. I will bring to the board in the future, like I say, we're going to have to make some changes, I think, and maybe restructure the way the fire service is, or the fire departments in the county are structured. But I did just want to kind of bring that to the board's attention today, and I will be reaching out to all the board members, maybe talk to them in person to kind of get some ideas or go over that in the near future, because I think this will have to happen with this current board within the next 2, 3, 4 years.
Boyd, I was talking with Patrick the other day, and he informed me that his vehicle that he's driving has, I think the air is not working, the heat's not working.
Well, we've had a lot of issues with my vehicle. It's been in the shop 3 or 4 times. I've actually taken it to big shop. It's due for a motor, it's knocking.
Right.
It's on its last leg. I'm probably could be coming to the board in the near future, thinking next board meeting, maybe possibly asking for a truck.
I'd make a motion to go ahead and purchase the truck now.
It's just, I just need one to be able to do the job I need. It's a 2-wheel drive SUV, and when we're dealing with dirty hoses, ladders, and I'm hauling stuff around, and we're going off-road in pastures to put out grass fires, I need something a little bit better to suit my, so in order to be capable to do the job.
If you don't mind, he and I have been speaking about this for months, since last year, and I've been pushing it off. It actually quit on him. He was sitting on the side of the highway. But I told him to find the money in his budget, and if he has it, to come show me, and I don't have a problem with getting it, but he definitely needs it.
The Dodge around 53,000 on that state contract. 4-wheel drive Dodge, like, I think 53,000.
What did we pay for the one we just bought?
We found a better deal at, the purchasing clerk is here, Deanna Collier, she can.
I'm not Collier, I'm Blackwell.
I mean, Deanna Blackwell. I don't have my glasses.
We got Patty's truck for, from Parker, and it was much cheaper than what we originally had found the truck for, that Supervisor Howard and Mr. Lois and myself had talked about, so we can get him one at that price, that's not a problem.
So we may need to move on.
Motion by Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Little. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0.
Thank y'all, and I'll be trying to reach out to y'all individually and maybe discuss some further things we'd like to talk about. Thank you.
Okay, moving forward, we have several other department heads that are available. So would you please come forward? Next. Have a new tax collector, assessor.
Such as, I'm sorry, this is my first time to sit here, or do I stand?
Have your way.
I am Jo Helen Joey Walker, the new tax assessor collector for Oktibbeha County, and right now I am working on my homestead, getting that established. And if anyone has any questions, please let me know. Please come by and visit and see.
And congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations to you too as well.
Yeah.
Any questions by anybody?
You're doing well already, so.
Thank you. Thank you all.
From the board, if we can be of any support, that's what we're here for.
Thank you, sir.
Most definitely, we're excited.
Thank you.
Congratulations, look forward to working with you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
We need to acknowledge the volunteer fire.
We have two to acknowledge. Motion to acknowledge the volunteer fire department chief. Got a motion on that? Motion by Supervisor Little, second by Supervisor Cobb. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. And Ms. Jo Helen, tax assessor collector, motion by Supervisor Little, second by Supervisor Cobb. All in favor? Motion carries 5-0. We have an emergency management person.
I can wait till tomorrow. I need a little bit of time because I want to go over our emergency plan with y'all for the county. So if I can do mine tomorrow, or you would like to, in case if you need to leave, I can do that. However y'all want to do it.
Okay. But today was set aside just for this. So all the other board stuff, but this was the time for the EMA director to come and present.
Right.
So I mean, it's up to the board.
That's fine, but how long is it gonna take? Can we take a little break right quick before, if it's gonna take you a
This
while?
thing about 15. Y'all are familiar with the plans that we have.
Let's do a little break.
And then I think that would be the last person to present. So maybe this other, everything that's left can be added to one hour of the scheduled board meeting. For discussion.
And we have not gone over Victor stuff and Clyde stuff.
So we have to do that.
That's up to y'all.
Yeah, let's take
a
I motion
break.
that we take a 10-minute bathroom break.
That we broke.
That's something I did want to mention and make sure that you all did want to keep that going.
Cause that was Mr. Wall's administrator.
Yes, that passed, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So that is something I did want to run that by you about keeping.
Do we need to make a motion to have them to come out and take a look and give us a prize, a quote?
Yeah, we need to make it official. We do need to make it official.
Motion by Supervisor Howard, second by Supervisor Little. All in favor? Motion carried.
Okay, my biggest concern is equipment needs, and at the top of the list, y'all may see at the top of the list is vehicles. That's one of the first things that we need. We got some older vehicles, actually some that I was involved in the purchasing when I was here before. And I got it right here. One thing that's concerning me is I actually got a machine sitting down there that we need to be running. I've got a vehicle to pull it, but we end up having to loan this vehicle out because some of our other vehicles are giving us problems. They're breaking down on us. And that's some of the 450s. And I wish I'm gonna tell you, the vehicles went through a period of neglect, and that's some of the reasons they are not doing as well now. They wasn't maintained properly, and at that time, like I say, I purchased them. They were maintained good when I was here, but when I left, they just didn't get the maintenance, and it's a known fact. I question some of the people that's here now that was here then, and they just they wasn't put on a maintenance schedule. They wasn't taken care of. And it's coming down to the fact that we've got to actually do something. Like I say, I got a machine, got this machine that was bought. It's sitting there plugged up. We need it. It's crack sealed, and it needs to be running. But every time I get ready to hook it to the truck and get some men's in it, and I need to hire a couple of men, but I can't hire them because if they're not going to have a vehicle to drive, what good is me hiring? If they're not going to have a vehicle to keep that machine going, and like I said, if another crew loses this 450 and I got to give them that vehicle to do their duties while this vehicle is being fixed, it's kind of running us, it's really getting us in a bad situation.
If the 450 going to pull the crack seal,
we'll still use the 350 to pull the fit. We'll replace 3 of the 450 because one of them I had to do a engine, transmission, and computer. So I will keep that one as a spare truck but we do need 450s to replace them. We actually need 4 because A, B, C, and D needs them. D doesn't have a small dump truck, so that would be sort of like a small dump truck for them because they use the large dump trucks, and there's some things that the large dump truck a 10-wheeler can't get into some of the places they need to get. And so that is we need those 450s along with if you look down at the bottom, the 9-foot dump beds, they ranging at about $23,000, $1,200 for stroll kits. 4 of them would fall right under $100,000. We got 5 on there, but we don't need the 4. We also need a couple of 250s with bed deletes. They don't need pickup beds on them. And I'm gonna be honest, we don't at the road department need half-ton trucks. They can't do what they're supposed to do. They can't do what the 250s and 350s and 450 does. Half-ton trucks is about as worthless as it can be when it comes to our operation. We need a truck that we can put a trailer behind, that they can move the skid steer, they can move the backhoe, mini holes on, and Supervisor William, D-Shop uses a truck to pull a trailer to pull that skid steer on. And you got, the mini hoe on. They also pull the skid steer behind. And they need that in order for them to operate efficiently, to be able to go where they need to go. They need the trucks to do it, and along with another small trailer for the limb cutting crew to be able to move that skid steer. I mean, we have to send a low boy out there to move one little skid steer every time we get ready to move, unless this 350 with the trailer D-Shop has is available to go do it. Sometimes it's available, sometimes they use it. Not only do they use it to move the mini home, they haul their covers on it. And they only have one truck that they can work out of, and that's that 350. They need a 450 to go along with it. The limb cutting crew, they need a truck, they need a 250 with a tube bed on it, not a pickup bed. And the bed delete truck won't cost, I think they run in the neighborhood of about $40,000 instead of $55,000. I've got some updates on the cost on those. When I did this, they didn't know that they could do a bed delete, but they can. We won't even have a bed that we got to get rid of or sit out there and it goes to waste. We just leave the bed at wherever it comes from. And I'm saying 450s, they may not be 4s, they may be something else, but it's just, I'm using that in reference because that's what we got now. But we've got to find a way to make sure that these guys have got something to go out and work in. And it gets hard when you got to try to do that, to try to see where this is and borrow this truck from over here or down there, and well, the men, they are not standing up there looking for something to ride in. I think we had to loan the 350 out that should be hooked to the crack sealer to C-Shop because their truck was having some problems. And I just hate to keep putting money in them because you put a transmission in one, you putting $5,000 to $6,000 in one. And it's kind of like it gets to be a waste of money when you put that much money in a truck that is a 2011.
I think you're taking a real good look at things, because I see where you say the F450, you started with 5, but now you say maybe 4.
Yeah, 4 F450s, because I can save one of the 450s that we done put new engine and transmission and a computer in. Ain't no need we wouldn't get back what we got in it. So we may as well keep it as a spare vehicle for pothole patching and stuff like that. This is not something that I've taken too lightly. This is something that I've thought about. I actually dreamed about, because I guess I take my work home a lot of times and it comes to me in my sleep. And the next item,
and the 250s need look like three
of those, I believe.
Of those.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 3 or 4 of them. Let's see, 4 of them. But 3 of them will be bed delete trucks.
Right.
Yeah, 3 of them will be bed delete truck. One of them will be a full pickup. Yeah.
Okay.
So total now a little over $3 million.
A little over $3 million for everything that we got on the list.
Are you, and I guess the administrator need to be asked about one, are we planning on trying to do all of this at once? Are we gonna do phases? And 2, some of the equipment that we've got, can it be placed in the auction and then the monies that's...
Yes. I have been in touch on the motor grader. I have been in touch with J.W. Woods out of Alabama, Montgomery, Alabama, and they would be glad to, when we get closer, they would be glad to come up, take a look at them, do an assessment on them, and offer us a guaranteed price on them. So.
Wasn't there a company that was down in Jackson, at the meeting, and anyhow, I think that where a lot of the other counties have gone to them, where they come in and they purchase them and they lease them, you get new trucks like every year.
Yeah, you talking about, he's referring to the motor graders.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that the girl told me they had all that stuff, all the equipment, that they could come in and then they guaranteed to exit the auctions and stuff, and no maintenance, no nothing, that we would have to do anything, you know, with them.
Well, I
That
know.
they could come and visit with
I
us.
know, Peter, I know KW is offering that.
I know,
But, I mean, so, with the KW trucks, we're doing pretty good right now. They're not really giving us any problems. We have little maintenance issues that we have to deal with them. I think on our limb truck, I believe they're putting a water pump on it, or getting a water pump to go on it. And we've had two little issues. I think we've had to put a depth pump on it, and then this water pump is going on it. And a lot of this stuff it was when the government come in and put depth systems on it and all this stuff, that's what pushed the quality of the equipment back. And some of these companies have got them down pat. They don't have much problems. Some of them do. And motor graders we're having serious problems with.
So what's the approach that we plan on taking to this?
Well,
Maybe you can tell us what you gotta have now.
okay.
Right now, today.
Well, let's look at it this way. All right, the chip spreader. It would be 4 to 6 months out on it. So the thing on it have to be ordered 4 to 6 months ahead of time to even get it. The same thing is going to be on these truck beds and stuff like that. We're not talking about money spent today. We're talking about money spent 3 or 4 months down the line on them. We might can get the trucks today, but the beds may not be available for 3 or 4 months, and that's the hold up on it. The longer you wait to bid it, the longer it waits to go. Now, one thing that we could hold off on, and it's one of the most expensive things on the list, is the mixer. We could hold off on the mixer. We got roads that need grinding up and remixing, but we could hold off on that. That's about almost $900,000.
How long could you hold off on that?
Well, it just depends. And what I mean by that is, it depends on what we're gonna do about the roads that we got that need repair.
Yeah,
some districts.
I thought we could go to work on that right away. I'm kinda
Some districts need it worse than others. Cause we got paved roads, and District 1 is one. New Light Road is in terrible shape. And it's in a bad shape in a place that we've already had work done, and I don't see anything else to do for it but grind it up and start again. Quite a few of the others.
I believe we're gonna save money if we purchase a mixer. Of course, we spend money up front, but I think we'll save money.
Well, at one time we were paying $50,000 a mile for having a road mix. That was plus the material, so that's what we're looking at. Number two, the reason we need this is because we need to be training people to run this stuff. We don't need, I need to be training people to run this stuff. I'll say it like this. Properly run it.
Let me ask you, I think the mixer would be valuable, but how your logistics, as far as if we purchase this mixer, would you have the manpower to put this mixer to work and keep it rolling every day, and would you still be able to keep your road building and
well, that's going to be part of the road building. That would be
part of this.
That part of that road building crew, that would be their job. Part of the grubbing crew, that would be their job because we got 5 or 6 roads already grubbed.
Okay.
So that would be something that could, I got Derek and one other guy and 2 other guys. They can grind roads, because as Supervisor Trainer did years ago, he had a road grind up, and all they did was graded it back down and let it lay for a year. And then now it's a good road. And that was that Rock Hill Road on the east end. That road come apart. And Supervisor Trainer had it grind up. It now, and it sit there for a year grind up. It settled down, the moisture went down through it, settled the road down. It turned out to be a real good road.
Set up real good.
It set up real good.
What's the budget and the?
Okay, so to answer your question, Mr. Collins and I did speak about this, and of course, I'm not gonna stop him from coming to the board to tell you what he needs, but we do not have the money. So it doesn't matter if it's 2 months, 3 months, 4 months out, this was not budgeted for, and we don't have the money because what extras we thought we had, what cushion we thought we had, we've been having to use to do some repairs for previous work and some equipment. So no, he's just here making a presentation to tell you all. He was well aware we did not have the money when he came.
Not even for any of it,
We don't have any money in I thought we budgeted some money each year for.
Did you go through your budget to kind of see what you can go ahead and afford and pay for?
Yeah, we could probably start with the trucks. And try to get that out of the way.
And another thing too, with the use tax money that we get,
Yeah.
that have to be affixed to a road.
Yeah,
So-
we can't use it
Yeah.
to actually purchase equipment with.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Not even the mixer.
No,
That'll
it's
be
got
several. It has to be
the
affixed to
only
the road.
item that really can be used that you can buy with it, if you got a road that requires a water pump or something that's gonna be stationarily mounted to that road or there, you can. Anything else has gotta be covers, gravel, whatever goes on that road and stays there. We can buy asphalt with it. We can buy rock to pave it with.
Material.
Yeah, we can buy material to pave it, but it's gotta be affixed to that road. Now, with that being said, I could look into my material budget and see how much we have there, and maybe, take some of that use tax money and move it into that.
Well, why?
Well,
So your budget, what have you?
well,
done?
like I said, we've looked into the purchase looked at it, and we could probably start on a few trucks.
let me ask this, and this may be wild thinking. Could we take his road budget and service a bond with it?
We can do it.
Could we just float a bond for what he need and then service that bond with his road budget money?
I'll be bringing in Raymond James, the government consultant, and we can ask that question.
And that way we could go ahead and get what he needs, but then the budget would make the payments on that bond. That's just a thought.
Right. And what we need to, my suggestion is that we don't buy anything outright, that we finance it. So we just have to find the money to make the payments on it. And you can take that use tax money and you can leverage, I think use tax now we're expecting how much we. Well, it's in our tax.
700 and something.
You can take that and you can leverage your bond with that and not have to add on any additional millage. Yeah. Or, here's another idea. Would you all want to partner with another county to buy the mixer or to buy the chip spreader? Because see, some of these things you're not going to be, now we need to buy the grader, but the grader got to run every day all day.
I don't share very well.
well, you may not, but it comes to a situation where you buying a piece of equipment that, if you buy this mixer for $800, $900,000, then that thing needs to be running every day.
Well,
now I could see purchasing it, and then if we get caught up with ours, renting it to another county.
Yeah.
Would send it out operators with it though.
But they just deal with trucks.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I talked to her. They just deal with the truck.
Police and stuff.
Yeah.
Now you can get a similar arrangement with Caterpillar, but see now, to kind of give you a little history. I remember when we bought a grader from Caterpillar, it was $208,000. Now it's $357,000. And the reason why we bought the Sandys was because the Sandys were cheaper than the Caterpillar. but of course, we have had some problems with the sand.
It's
Now it
cost
looks,
us more in the end.
and it looks like we going back. I'm assuming these are either John Deere Caterpillar.
They're gonna be one of the two.
Right, and that's what I wrote, that's what I wrote.
We'll
That's what I
float
said.
the bid, yeah.
So, and I don't have any problem with that. So, we do have to look at some, and 3 million, you know, I don't think that's, you know, if you could give it 3 million and finance it out, all this stuff, at least, most of the stuff don't last 10 years. I mean, you can stretch it out 10 years.
Caterpillar's the one we got now that's left down there that was bought back when Mr. Posey was here. They have lived up to their 10-year period and better.
So not to rain on the road department's presentation, but keep in mind, we also have that building we're gonna need money for. The assessment being done at the county lake will not pay for whatever this board decides to do.
But now we can't use the use tax money for that.
I know,
So,
I
so
know.
that's, you know, that's. so we
But
can't
I'm
use
just
that money.
saying, there's still other things in place that's gonna require money as well. Not to rain on the road department, but I'm just saying, there's needs throughout the county.
And there is a law that says you can only
Yep, we're limited with
indemnify
what
the
we can.
county up to
Exactly.
without, yeah.
That's
so,
true.
But I guess we can look at all of it.
They're coming, when they
Yeah,
come, we can
yeah.
tell them everything that we have and want to do. Hopefully we can get some more money for the building, that'll help. One good thing with County Lake, what they doing, we're not having to pay for it, but there's still some expense that's out there, so.
But I wouldn't mind going ahead and making a motion or advertising all this stuff, or you can get it off their contract. I mean, you know, we got to be realistic, we know what we need to do. I mean, this is the beginning of the term, and hey,
Cause
this
even
stuff.
if we advertise for it, that doesn't mean we don't have to do it.
It's true.
Motion by
The trucks, most of them will come off state contract. Yeah, but the beds and stuff like that, they would have to be advertised for, and the machines.
Could you look at your budget now to see what you
Yes,
can
yes,
afford?
I will get with you and we'll look at it and I'll present that to the board on
Thank you.
on the next meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we don't have anything to do with use taxes, but put it on road issues. Or service a bond that's related to that, so that'd be fine then.
So Raymond James,
Can
they
guide us
can,
through
they can
that.
talk us through and guide us through that, and there may be a way we can do it.
I got a motion by Supervisor Train
To advertise.
advertise for the
That's
equipment.
right.
Second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor? Motion carries for
I think that's gonna pretty well take care of me.
Can I just remind you all of something? When we're doing advertisement, we have to put together specs. And these companies have to put in a lot of work to come up here when we open the bid. And it's time consuming when we are not ready to move forward. I'm just throwing that out there. So just keep that in mind.
Well, wouldn't we need to advertise to have the estimates for Raymond James, or would we just?
No,
go to
Raymond James will just come and then they'll bill us for whatever they do. But I'm just saying, Vic will have to put specs together for all this equipment. Then these companies will call all the time, well, do you need this, and do you want that, do you want that? And when
Well,
they come up here, they thinking
yeah.
we're ready to buy.
Yeah.
But all that's part of the process.
I understand,
Yeah,
I understand.
all that's a part of the process of doing business. And a
Yes,
lot of
sir.
this stuff will be reverse auction anyway.
We don't have to do reverse auction.
We don't have to do
Well,
You don't have to.
No.
Well, you may not if you want.
Now, we are checking on the buyback on some of the stuff, I think
Yeah.
3 or 4, how many pieces?
We got 3 graders.
We're checking on buyback and we haven't heard anything back on that, so
Yeah, we'll
we're working it. But-
yeah, all I need to do is give him a call, closer to the time we're ready to move forward with sales, and they can give us a pretty good deal. And in fact, I'll call the gentleman and let him just come on and give us a figure so we'll know what we're looking at.
And I think that's a good suggestion.
Advertise for things that's not on state
That's not on.
Right.
Yeah, the things that's not on state contract. And what the things that on state contract, I'll go through them and try to get a bottom line figure off the state contract on them.
The graders are not upset. Well, I guess.
No, they're not.
Oh.
They're not. They're not.
And we do have 2 pieces of equipment we've been renting now for months.
Yeah, and cause those motor graders going down has cost us a pretty penny on just rental. stuff.
Yeah, that's just money in the garbage.
Basically, yes.
But I have to commend you all, y'all keeping the roads graded and
Yeah,
keeping
we've got
everything.
tractors and
Person,
everything
y'all
else.
doing it. Y'all seen the tractor with the scraping and everything.
Yeah,
Y'all really good.
those guys are really putting forth the effort. They coming around, I can say that much.
Those graders, they look good on paper. That's about all. That's about all.
That's about it.
Mr. Trainer, tell us a little bit about a road wide.
Okay, yeah. All right, we don't have to take bids on it. It's on the state contract price, and that's where if you ride for the new ones, if you ride your roads, you'll notice that a lot of your roads are below shoulders. That means the shoulder, your pavement is here and the road is here, which is a danger if somebody weaves off the road. They can't, a lot of times can't pull it back. So that road widener will we'll be able to take it, put a truck in front of it with clay gravel on it, run this stuff off to the side, put material around, and build those shoulders up. And we got a lot of roads that need the shoulders built up on. A lot of them. Some of the ones that just have been paved, actually, the shoulders are low on them now. So it's a benefit thing, and it's something that we just need. We needed one of those years ago.
Vic, just back to this Maple Sturgis Road.
Okay.
And these shoulders are starting to slough off. Is it because of we need to be using a different material? This clay gravel that's being put in these shoulders ain't holding up, or what? I mean, what?
No, it's just all the rain that we had in the previous year has taken its toll. It's just going down through these ditches, taking material with them, and it's just something that should have been maintained. They should have either been maintained by going in, putting riffraff in them to hold them, or some of them are just, the shoulders was too narrow anyway. And now the ground got so dry until it just separated.
But I'm referring to this just newly done Maple Sturgis Road.
Well,
right here.
That wasn't in the new done part. That wasn't a part of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Those slides wasn't a part of it. That's outside the scope of work that they did. Yeah, that's something that it's a lot of, just like the short covers. These are just narrow places that when they contracted this road years ago, cars wasn't traveling as fast and the road didn't have to be as wide. And it just wasn't built. Old West Point Road is another road that was built. Ocktop Road is another road that was built that don't have, it just wasn't built wide enough from the get-go. And it just, back then they just wasn't built wide, and they taking a toll now because we're putting material out on the edge of them, and the roads can't take it. We're making a lane a little bit wider, where the lanes might have been 10 foot wide, now they're 11 foot wide, and to accommodate traffic, but they putting the pressure on the road and on the on the shoulders of the road. And it's just something that's over the years, that road has been a problem ever since I've been with the county. That's just how it is. It's been narrow, but the way our weather conditions have changed, it puts a lot of pressure on you. You get a whole lot of rain when it's raining, and then we had a whole lot of dry when it got dry.
Good. Any additional question from Mr. Collins? If not, someone else acknowledge Mr. Collins' report?
So moved.
By Supervisor Trainer, second by Supervisor Howard. All in favor?
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Motion approved for Dick. Moving forward, Mr. Collins,
material that's sleeping on.
our emergency management person.
Yeah,
That's back up in,
That's fine.
That's what I was asking.
But it was
when they put it out there, she's still.
Okay, no, that's fine.
One. So I just want to take a little time to go over, our emergency plans for the county. I know y'all are aware of it. I would think so. But Ms. Little and Supervisor Carter, I wanted to let y'all know that I've been here since 2001. I know we haven't worked together. I realized when we had the board meeting last week that I've had the same board since I become director. So I never had to explain myself really to them because they already knew who I was. So, but I've been with my department since 2001. I started as a 911 telecommunicator, and then I was appointed director in 2017. So our office handles emergency management, 911, floodplain, and then the emergency side of Homeland Security. So all of that, I hold also some state association positions. I'm the president for the Mississippi 911 coordinators. I'm vice president for Mississippi NENA. I'm the MCM chairperson for MACDEMA, and I'm the assistant state coordinator for TURT. So I wear a lot of hats locally and within the state. So our 911 is the only 911 in Ottaville County. So anybody that dials 911 in this county, it gets us. We answer about 100,000 calls a year. Well, this was actually last year. And then 60,000 incident reports that we took. We dispatch all of fire, law, and medical for the county. That includes the city of Tarleton. And then we also answer the after-hours utility calls for Starkville Electric. We pick those up about 4 o'clock, I think it is. And I forget what the portion of that is. The city pays $7,200, is that right? For the utilities, yeah. They pay a portion for us to do that every year. Within the 911 staff, we have 18 positions. Knock on wood, I'm fully staffed right now. I have one out on maternity leave, but that hardly ever happens. Where we're fully staffed. 5 of those are admin. We do have 3 people per shift. Sometimes during game days and special events, we bring 4 in on shift, so it could result in some overtime. We're also staffed with staff in the safe room if we need that for emergencies or planned events where people has rented it. And then I gave y'all some packets of some of the things that we do, and I did put our job description and resume in there since y'all don't know me. But in the packets is not all the plans. What I would like to do is to give a link for y'all to kind of open all these plans, because some of them are about 2,000 pages. You're not going to want to read all that. But that way you'll have it. A lot of those we will be needing to update this year. Some of those we'll need to update probably in the next meeting with just the signature pages, because the same signatures have been the same since 17. So we will need to update those. One big one is a hazard mitigation plan. So we're in the process of updating that right now. It is a district plan, so there's 10 counties in our district that go in together. MEMA is usually the one that heads up the plan. We usually pay a portion of that. We don't know what the portion is because it'll be split between those 10 counties. Within your hazard mitigation plan, so y'all were talking about grants and different things that you can apply for. Anything that you need to improve or mitigate a disaster in your district, you want to put that in your plan. So generators, safe rooms, drainage projects, anything like that, we need to include it in the hazard mitigation plan, because when you apply, they're going to ask you if you have one. And then, is this listed as part of your goals in your plan? If it's not, it may be a reason why you don't get it.
Like the treatment plants, wastewater treatment, would that go into the hazard? Because that is a hazard.
You could put it under a hazard mitigation plan, because if it failed, then you would have a disaster in that area.
Would that help us qualify and get more money to help fund that?
It will help some, but it's still not going, I'm not going to touch your codes, but it's still going to put you behind on the code in the 50 points. But you will have to have this to even be able to apply. Another part of that is the comprehensive emergency plan. Y'all have your plan for the road. We have a comprehensive emergency plan for the county. There's 16 emergency support functions, emergency support functions in that. So any disaster that happens is laid out in that plan on what everybody's roles will be, including the board, my role, law enforcement, everybody's role is in that plan. That's the one that's probably about 2,000 pages long. But, and it's my job to know all these. I'm just letting you know that they're out there. There is a continuity of operations plan for our office, and that lists everything in case our building was hit, what all we have to do to keep moving forward. A flood damage prevention ordinance, that is in your packet, so that's fairly new. We had to update it in 22. So y'all were talking about the building codes. Where that's a little bit different in your site development is if they are building within a special flood hazard area that is not designated by this county, is designated by FEMA, and it's for flood insurance purposes. But wherever they say a flood, special flood hazard area is, you have to get a permit from our office before you can even get a development permit. And there's a few, little bit that, I think the application is in your packet too. It's a little lengthy.
Now, how would, like, when you're talking about the flood, development permit and stuff versus, like, when they have to come and get it, you said, it may not be in our county under flood, but under this other one. How do people know, just check both places? How do we know that?
So we go to FEMA's website, and so FEMA has a website of all of the flood areas throughout the country. So that's how we determine if it's in one or not. Now, we usually get,
Real quick. When the address is issued through Golden Triangle Solid Waste, at the bottom of the application, it checks flood area or not. And if it say it is, he sends that to Kristen, and that's when she gets involved. So the customer should know. When they go down and talk to Golden Triangle Planning and Development, they are told then, your location is in a floodplain. And that information is sent to Kristen, and that's when she can do her part.
Well, I guess what I was saying was I thought you said there was two different ones, and some of them we don't identify as floodplains, but that other.
So FEMA determines the floodplains. And it's a special flood hazard area is what they call it. So they determine that's a floodplain area. You can't do any development inside that floodplain without this permit. But the problem with that is, so the new addresses are fine, right? Because Toby will not give them an address until they complete this paperwork.
Right.
It's the existing addresses where we have a lot of problems, where people are building things in the floodplain, because all it does is changes the flow of water. So now you're flooding somebody else's property that may not be in the floodplain, but they're still getting flooded. And if you don't carry flood insurance, your insurance is not going to cover that. Part of that was found after Katrina. So a lot of those that were way inland were damaged by flood, not by the hurricane. Well, their insurance didn't cover it because they didn't have flood insurance because they weren't required to carry flood insurance. So anybody that comes to mind, I tell them to get it, because if you get in a floodplain, it's cheap and it's worth it if you ever get your house damaged by flood.
I like the information that Golden Triangle provides.
Yeah, they do. Toby does a great
What
job.
they will do, if it's not in a floodplain, they will also tell you that the floodplain is real close to where you're gonna be developing in. So I thought that was very helpful information with the person that I was working with on helping them to decide on how close they were to.
If FEMA changes the maps every 10 years, we're actually due for a map change in 2020. And I think y'all can get some of the watershed studies that are going on right now. Well, COVID happened in 20, so it kind of pushed back all those map changes. So within the next probably 2 or 3 years, we're probably going to have new maps. So get ready, because there's probably people in your district that was not in a floodplain that now will be in one. There may be some that was in one that may be out. And so all the people that commit or do these applications, they have to do flood studies. So FEMA will take all those flood studies into account when they're determining the new maps. So I have to submit all the studies that I've got to FEMA, and then they look at all that when they get ready to issue the new maps. I know it's very confusing. But we have about 29 million in policies in this county. About 140 policy holders. So if we don't do what we're supposed to do on floodplain, then they don't get their flood policy paid for. The next room is the safe room operation and maintenance plan. That is in your packet too. And one of the things the board voted in October, so we'll rent that out now. And so there is a form that they fill out, and I've got that in your packet, for private events. Now we still host it as trainings, and I call it community events if everybody is invited. I think the majority is, we didn't charge for that. We only charge it for private events. But that's in there. I will tell y'all and go ahead, because I had my phone blew up this weekend about opening it as a shelter. So I just want y'all to think about that, what y'all's plans are for that. I have no intention to do that, and I say that because we don't have the resources there for that. We don't have the staffing there for that. We've opened it before. I think it was last year, a year before last, when it was really cold. It was colder than temperatures it has been so far. We opened it for 72 hours. Ms. Farmer sat in, we had department heads that helped man it because we didn't have the staff, and not one person showed the whole 72 hours.
No one came during my shift.
No, that wasn't done the whole week. It does
there
have
even a
restrooms.
bathroom?
Yeah, it has
Mhm.
restrooms. It just doesn't have showers. We don't have like the sleeping facilities, being able to separate, you know, because anybody can come in. So if you got children with sex offenders, anything can come in. So how do you separate that? You would need security. There's some resources I feel like that you would need. We do have set shelters designated in this county if we have a major disaster. We have a local agreement with the First Baptist Church. They house people, and the First Methodist Church does our feeding. So we already have those contracts in place, but that's for a widespread major damage event, not just if it's cold outside. That explains it.
Yeah, I guess I was just wondering, or maybe this is just me asking questions.
Well, I've been contacted here recently by an individual that was inquiring about that. Of course, there was some special circumstances involving the entire situation, but I know I've seen a lot about during the holidays with Salvation Army and some other things they're doing. I know big effort in Tupelo, I think Columbus, Miles County has some, and we do have the group Strong. I think that's one of their
Yeah, and I think they're
initiatives.
helping with some people, and that's a lot of things now too, with the sickness. Are you gonna wanna put all these people in one space and then be liable for all that? I mean, so even when we're contacting, like O-Serves that helps us out a lot, which I'll contribute to, they're putting them in hotels. They're not doing any of that. We had one, I think, that was over the weekend that was asking for just cash. Of course, we're not doing that. And then there was one that just didn't pay her light bill, so her lights got turned on. Prairie Opportunity, I think, was doing some of that to help people, but I think they're short-staffed right now to helping people with their lights. So that was unfortunate, but I think the situation was different.
So basically, what is the true purpose for? Because I've had that asked me, you know, why do we have that?
So we got the grant, and it's a multi-purpose facility. So the board can decide what multi-purpose you want to use that for. Now what we've been using it for is, of course, for tornado warnings. Anytime there's a watch issue, that's when we open it, so it gives people plenty of time to get there before the warning's issued. But it's a short term, so you're usually only open during that until the threat is diminished. And then the other, what we've been using it for is for trainings within department trainings, whatever trainings they need for law enforcement, our office. I think the road department's used it a couple of times, but just whatever any county office needs it for.
And I think that's what a lot of people have a misconception, because it says, you know, community safe room. So they probably do blow your phone up, thinking bad weather, bad whatever. So if it's a multi-purpose /safe room.
It just doesn't have showers. There's not a kitchen. I mean, there's a few that's on the contract with First Baptist because the site that they have that shelters the people, all we need to do is bring in cots. And Red Cross will do that, but we don't have blankets. So we have to rely on donations for blankets. I mean, you're not going to want to reuse those again, so you don't have to get donations every time you decide to open it. But then they also will have a space for people to bring in meals. And so we just don't have the space there for all that. And that's a liability for the county. To my knowledge, there's not any county board, and y'all may know differently, that uses those community safe rooms, or they pick up the cost for it. Now they may open it, and these community groups are the ones that staff it and take care of everything that's needed in there, but the county is not doing that. But at the end of the day, I think Rob will tell you too, the county is still liable for everything that happens there because it's still a county-owned facility. So security would be a big issue for me. I've got a lot of young people that work for me, and I would be hesitant to put them down there during the overnight hours. It has been brought to my attention that there has been someone staying there. Someone called me last week that I don't know if the door or if they have figured out how to get in, but I think the camera situation will fix some of that.
They're on Fulton, Building and Grounds. We actually went in it, and the gentleman was there. He had put 8 chairs together and made a bed. And the lights were off, it was dark. We walked in talking because we were putting we were working with C-Spire at the time to put the internet for the cameras. And when we just stopped when we turned the lights on, and the guy sat up and he did this. So we walked in on him, and he had been in there a couple of nights. So we have to check it every morning now to make sure, but
how was he getting in? Do you know?
The door, he said the door was not locked. He just walked in.
See, it's hard for me to believe that. I I know we're always conscious about locking it. I'm wondering if there's another way.
It wasn't
They had
locked.
figured out how to do it. It wasn't locked.
It was not.
See, that's crazy.
The door facing all the parking space
Yeah.
where the lights just put, that door, it wasn't locked. So Darryl checked it and it was not. So,
Yeah,
we
that's
did.
good. Somebody could be staying down there too.
So they check it every morning now just to make sure, but someone was there and I saw it. I walked in.
So just something y'all think about. If you did want to do it, I've got some suggestions on things that we would need down there, or even maybe groups that could do it, but just keep in mind y'all are still liable for everything. Our other plan is a SMAC agreement. Y'all just signed up on that. That's a statewide mutual aid agreement. You probably heard that at y'all's briefing with NEMA. So what it says basically is that if something happens in our county, other people can come and help us. And if a neighboring county needs our help, we can go help them. It just kind of covers all of us. A debris management plan, that's one that we've got to get updated this year, because y'all mentioned about the burning. There is some laws changed on that. The DEQ in 2020, you're not supposed to burn garbage at all in the county. We do get a call on that on, was it Rock Hill, I believe. So DEQ, I think, called, it was either last week or week before, to check that site out. So there is some different rules on debris. We used to burn everything. It's about forced air. You don't have forced air, you can't have it within 500 feet of a residence. There's a lot of rules in that that's changed.
So, when this comes up, just notify you?
They call me.
Oh, they call?
So what's been happening is that the citizens have been calling the state at NEMA.
Right.
And then NEMA calls me, and then I have to call DEQ. Most of the time he gets it at the same time, but then I go out, or have the sheriff's department go out first, and then DEQ comes and checks it. So they come, I think, last week to that on Rock Hill.
So when MEMA, I guess the contact number would be, and that's all I really need.
Yeah,
I just need something to give the citizens so they can.
Or they could just call our
Money.
office and
Okay.
report it, because eventually it's gonna get to me. The section's gonna call whatever county is reporting it.
Is DEQ concerned about wood products?
Clearing and land clearing and that kind of stuff, it's all just household waste. You can't burn household waste. And of course hazardous materials. I can send y'all an email with that update. I think it was
Clearing
in
and
22.
burning.
Clearing and burning you can do, but you still need to notify them, because they see that debris ball on radar and it automatically triggers for them on their site to wonder what's going on, you know, like what's they burning. And like she mentioned tires, we get tires about 2 or 3 times a year, different people burning tires. And that's how they know it. Usually DEQ is the one that sees it on radar. They see that black cloud or debris ball on their radar and they call us to send somebody to the sheriff's department about there. So the debris plan we got, I've got to get with Mr.
But the thing about, the county so far have not been able to burn wood products. I hope we can get approval.
And the approval process is not that hard to get. It's just they have to approve the site where you're going to burn it. And if you're going to use forced air, I think the feet away from the residence is different. But if you don't have the forced air, I think it's 500 feet, something like that. You have to be away from a residence or any other structure. And of course, contacting your fire department, have everybody on standby. There's a list of things in their checklist. You can get a permit. It's not, but it's you have to do a permit. Because you know, we used to burn everything after a storm, and you can't do that now.
Yeah.
You know, all the debris from the storm, you can't do that. The strategic national stockpile, that is the medicines. If we had another pandemic, that's how the medicines come into the county. We keep a list of the number of first responders that come in, so they get the doses first. Department of Health is who runs that. We just kind of help coordinate that in the county and where the medicine goes, and then our first responders get it first, and then we open it up to citizens. The 2 locations that we have now to distribute those are the Safe Room and Starkville Hospital. I know this is a whole lot of crap, and if you have any questions, please come by and I'll explain. It's just a lot to explain all our office duties in a few minutes. The county does have Code Red. You sign up for Code Red where you get the emergency alerts. So that is paid for by the city and the county. They split the cost for that. It doesn't cost the residents anything to do. We push that out on our socials. We have it on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter when the storms are coming. We may get some rain tonight. Doesn't look crazy, but we'll probably get some strong winds tonight. So you know how our county is, when there's winds, there's power outage, and trees down. But they split the cost for that. I'm not sure if the city is planning on still keeping that, because they have purchased a new emergency notification system, so I'm not sure if they're going to try to phase this one out and just keep that one, but I'm not sure on the cost of that. Is it 5,000 a year? Maybe, I'm not sure. We go through plan development, they're the ones that get it together for KREF. Unsolved, I think is how it's on there. And he mentioned the ArcGIS field maps that Toby does. Toby's amazing on the addressing, if you haven't talked with him. He is the go-to guy for anything addressing. On your road list, you're talking about the high and the low. Some of those can change because half of the roads in the city and half of it's in the county. So that's where your difference will be. So if there's the same roads in the city and the county, then Americal's going to be different in the city than it is in the county. There's 1,000 addresses for every mile. There's a new address that can be every 5.85 feet. So if you're traveling a roadway and say your address is 2,400, whatever, your address is going to be 2.4 miles from the start of that road. That makes sense. So you can kind of tell where you are on a road, how far you are from whatever intersection. But they're addressed from south to north and west to east. I know. A thing I would ask you to read would be the emergency management law. There is a law that that lays out everything, what our powers are and what all we're responsible for in the county. So it's 3315.1 is where it starts, if you want to read that. It's about 26 pages. And then there's the Stafford Act. The Stafford Act is what covers y'all when you have an emergency, where y'all can spend funds. There are different things that you can do on private property when there's an emergency that happens. As far as like clearing a tree off a house, you know, if it's damaging the house, you can just pick it up, move it off. We can't like clean up their whole property, but to save lives, that's what we do. But it talks about that in the Stafford Act. Damage assessments, we do that, so I put a pocket damage assessment guide in there, so you know what we're looking for when we have a storm. We go out immediately after the storm and give a quick assessment of how many homes we got. The county threshold is 212,000 that we have to meet a threshold before we can get a local declaration. The state's threshold is 5.3 million, I believe now. So, and I'll bring some forms for the next board meeting for y'all to sign, where you can go ahead and sign a local declaration. I just fill it in if you get something, so I don't have to hunt you all down to get a signature that night. The quicker we get the information into MEMA, the quicker we can get resources brought in if we need it. So this just kind of goes through what all we look for when we go out and do the damage assessments. The floodplain is a little different, so that's in your thing. And then the individual assistance is different. Most of the time what y'all get approved for is public assistance. And what that is to repair the roads. It doesn't, people hear public assistance and they think they get the money. But that is not, it's just for governments and nonprofits. If you have churches, they can apply for that if they have a 501(c) status. The state threshold, so y'all will fill out the form to do a local declaration. That gives you the powers to do these emergency cleanups if you need it. But then we also request for the governor to issue a state of emergency, and that's where the big money starts coming in to get the big projects done. That's how we're getting safe room, is with those mitigation dollars. We do have emergency action plans that Mr. Pritchard does for us. So the County Lake, Norris Lake, and Browning Creek, we have emergency action plans. He's updating the Norris Lake right now. So if something happens with those levees, we have a plan in place for all those areas where the residents will go, how the traffic will flow, and then who all does what and who all to contact. The grants that we have, our big grant is the EMPG grant that we get every year to do all of these things that we talked about. So if we do our jobs, we get about $43,000 this issue to us every year through EMPG. We also have the public assistance. That's what's getting our sirens, our generators, and safe rooms. Homeland Security, we have an LEPC, which is a hazardous grant, and then just our local grants. I know that's a whole lot, but if you have questions, please come by our office to visit. I would love to have you know where our office is, because it's a lot of information. And when you have something in your district, I will tell you, if I just start getting calls from people in your district saying they've had damage, or if you get calls from people, you know, we'll come out and take a look at it. There's a link on the county's website. They can report it themselves. They can upload the pictures. Through our 911, you can now text or send videos and pictures to our 911 center, and we can respond back to you. So you can send those pictures in that way.
You do know how to get in touch with this
Sorry.
company.
I know that's a whole lot, but
that's a lot, so thank you very much for that
Thank you,
presentation. Our emergency management Motion to acknowledge, anyone? Ms. Little,
Second.
motion by Ms. Little, second by, Supervisor Trainer. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. 4-0. Mr. Pritchett, thank you for waiting all this time. I know you have some good news for us as always, pertaining to state aid.
Y'all have had a long morning. This can be as short, as lengthy as you need it to be. State aid has not released the absolute funding numbers yet. I expect that within about the next 2 weeks. Mr. Harry Lee James has given me some rough numbers, and he's tweaked those as of a couple of weeks ago, kind of where he thinks it's headed. As I mentioned to you one time before, we now have a state aid bridge fund. Your state aid money has traditionally been all state aid roads and bridge. Now you have a separate bridge fund. We think that's going to be funded for, I'll tell y'all, on the order of $1.4 million. State aid road money is expected to be on the order of $2.5 million. LSBP, which is your local system bridge program, and that's Patty, if I get off on something you don't know what it is, just say, hey, what is that? LSBP is at $2.3 million. There are no current legislative earmarks that we're working with right now. We don't have any federal funds appropriated for road work right now. And you have a use tax that's expected to be on the order of $1.5 million a year. That comes like twice a year, $750,000.
January and July.
Now, and that's that tax that we were talking about that we don't.
Has to be assigned to road or bridge. Now, I brought hard copies of a countywide map that I'll leave with you, and if you'd like this in a PDF or an email form, I can send it to you. That's better. But this map shows the state aid bridges in the county, which they're eligible for the state aid bridge money in blue. They're eligible for LSBP money in green. And then we're also showing 2 bridges being Sturgis West Point and Crawford that we've already obligated state aid money to. Those are programs. One's waiting on right away, still. Sturgis West Point is ready to go. And then we have our beloved Morgantown Bridge that's closed. And I will tell you that the last ask for the Morgantown Bridge, I'll round the number, but the last ask that included construction, engineering, environmental, right-of-way, et cetera, was right around $4.3 million to replace that bridge. That was BR request. Now, I don't know how many of you have seen this, I'll just pass it along, but in the last ERBR, Occidental County received nothing. We were one of the first counties early on that got funding for 5 bridges that we built under the ERBR. But if you're interested, here's a list of what some of the other counties received and how much and kind of for what. And a $4 million ask was not an extraordinary ask. You'll see a lot of these counties got $4, $5, $6, $7 million. So I'll just pass that around for you to look at.
And I think is this the 4th time we're submitting it this year?
This upcoming will be the 4th time.
And we missed it last time by the time they redid it, we're about 15, 20 down on the list. When they thought we were gonna get it.
I'll make copies and put in anybody's mailbox.
Just for example, too, just to give you some ideas as you're planning going forward. A poured-in-place bridge right now, like the Morgantown Bridge would have to be, if we're pouring concrete, is right now it's costing about $7,200 a foot. A precast bridge, like you see a lot of our 1931s, 40s that we use in the county, is about $5,700 a foot. A box culvert, and I'm using sort of Hickory Grove as an idea, box culverts are about $14,000 a foot. Now, part of the reason is that a foot, a linear foot. The reason your boxes run high, that they're almost totally cast in place, formed in place, but state aid has historically said if we can use a box instead of a bridge, we would rather have that because your maintenance on a box is less. You're not having to.
I replaced one on my road, and I don't know who will be on that road when that bridge needs some.
Yeah. But you're not having to go in and maintain piles. You're not having to replace guardrail. You're not paying Richard Engineering or an inspector every 2 years to go out and inspect that bridge. So your long-term benefit on a box is better. Morgantown Road, that bridge is considered a complex because it's crossing Knoxville River, this and that. We expect that bridge to cost about $15,000 a foot to cross. So, road work, a reclaim, chip seal, stripe and sign, similar to what we just did on Sturgis Maven, about $500,000 a mile, thereabouts.
For chip seal.
Blackjack, which was, I call it the Cadillac job, which is good base, old, thick asphalt paving, striping, curb and gutter, and it was 3 lanes. Blackjack Road was about $5.3 million a mile. Octop Road, which we just
You're not talking about Blackjack Road, you're talking about that section.
I'm talking about that section from the vet school. Right.
Vet school. Yeah,
I'm just giving you an idea when everybody says, why don't you make mine look like Blackjack? Well, here's why. Octop, which we just completed, was overlay on a road that needed, I'll say, about an average amount of base repair and leveling and prep before we overlaid it. It was time to do it, if you will. Octop was $440,000 a mile. Reseal, which is taking an existing road, doing a little repair, like your Douglastown works, some repair, some leveling, and putting a fresh coat of just seal rock on it, around $165,000 a mile to do that. So,
what road was that?
That was similar to Douglastown and some of the reseal. I know a lot of y'all know this, but your state aid monies have to go on a state aid route. You do not have to do specifically by district. You can do a countywide state aid job that does a job in Marvell and Orlando and Joe's and the Patty's all in one project if it's all similar type work. We can do road A, B, D, H, I, whatever, and then put that together. Your LSBP money will go to an LSBP bridge. I will come to you on the 2 bridges that we have circled, the Sturgis West Point and the Crawford Bridge. Y'all program them with state aid road money. I will bring you a new program that asked, and I talked to Harry Lee about this, to have them reprogrammed into the state aid bridge money. That will free up about $950,000 of your state aid road money. It will eat up about $950 of your state aid bridge money. But it will reprogram them. We'll have to change the project number on our plans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And they are literally ready to go. But that will free up a little bit of road money. And deplete your bridge money, but state aid wants to get those bridges that you're spending the state aid bridge money in one order with project numbers so they know where that money was spent. Y'all may literally be SABP number 1 or number 2 or number 3. Just a couple of comments listening. Acceptance of existing roads or new roads, we have criteria for that. What has historically happened is the board, if somebody's got an existing road or existing subdivision, would come to us and say, we'd like for you to go evaluate that and give us your recommendation. We'll go evaluate it, the base, the structure, and all that kind of stuff, come back with a letter report to the board and say, it meets all our criteria, or it don't, or you can expect to spend X amount of dollars on that if you take it. Doesn't matter to me one way or the other. Supervisor Trainer well knows I came back on a project in Old West Point years ago, said it's gonna cost you a bunch of money. Well, we took it anyway, cost us some money, we got a nice road out there. That's y'all's decision. So I'll come to you, and what you do with that one way or the other is up to you. But we do have guidelines for new construction, and part of that permit process very clearly says, if you're gonna want the county to accept this road, this subdivision, you're gonna build our standards, tell me right now, yes or no, so we can document that. If they say no, that same permit says, don't come see me for 10 years. Don't build this subdivision and come back next year, the next year, the next year, and say, I want you to take my road. You need to commit now, one way or the other, whether it's going to be a county road or not. So that's actually made some folks either go ahead and build it right, or kept them from coming to you saying, I want y'all to take this. Special assessments, you had Austin Barber with Clearwater Group. If and when you select a project you want him to pursue, he's gonna come to us pretty quick if it's a road or bridge project and ask us what it's gonna cost. I mentioned before, those timelines get short. He's up there meeting with the legislature, he needs a number, you know, he's gonna call us, so as quick as you make that decision, we kinda need to know so we can start putting numbers together. Mr. Collins has mentioned the mixer. I'll just say that many years ago when we started taking bids on soil cement mix and reclaiming roads, it started at like $44,000 a mile. One of the last quotes we got was over $200,000 a mile. It went up to $180,000. Another thing that we get into is there's only a handful of companies that do that work. And if they got 20 miles to do, even at that price, they ain't in a hurry to come. And that makes a logistic problem for the road department. They're ready to pave, they're ready to do it, it's set up. Everybody has seen it, but we can't get anybody to come in here.
So we need our own mix.
We need a mixer.
Again, all y'all's decisions are y'all, but logistically, we have proven that roadbed reclamation with soil cement is a way to build a base in this county. It's the truest base. We've got 16th section road and Rock Hill Road that does many, many years to go out there. It'll pay for itself. It's gonna take a long time. But logistically, it makes things easier. Easier for your county force work, easier for about everything that we do. The slope failures on Curtis Maben, like you talking about, it, he mentioned on Hot Top. In the old days, you got 40 foot left and right to build a road from and right away, and you built to that. And if it meant the slope was straight down, that's what they built. You know, it's a lot of them are too steep. And those are two good examples right there. And then you get a drought, trees start pulling water down, that's when you start seeing these type failures. Now, we're just about required to have a 3-to-1 or a 4-to-1 slope, and if we gotta have extra right of way to build that, we get that, but the last one. So you're dealing with stuff that was just built way back when within the constraints that we had. That's really all I got. I'm happy to meet with each one of you. Miss Patty, they've heard this, but many, many years ago when the board asked me about doing this job, I said, I got one thing to do, and that's, I'm gonna try to spend every penny you got. on road and bridge money. And we maintain that, 'cause the only way I make money is spend y'all's money. I just need to know what you want to do and where it's at, and we'll try to put it together. I mean, that's true. So I need to know what you want done, when you want it done, and we'll work to that end. If I can meet with you individually or as a group of men, I'm happy to do it. I'll leave these for you. Drop me a text or email if you want an electronic copy. This tells you what these bridges are rated, what their status is.
Dollar question. Would it be best, historically, we have evenly split the money? What's the biggest bang for the buck?
You're asking, and I'm gonna answer.
Discharge the dollar question.
Your biggest bang for the buck is to select either an individual or two state aid projects or a countywide project and spend that state aid in one bulk sum of money. You simply can't take $2.5 million or whatever it is, split it up 5 ways, each one of you end up with $500,000 and get anything productive done as an individual state aid project. What y'all have done in the past is take that 500 and then added this money and then added this money and then added that. Makes it very, very complex, you know, or added bond money to it or added earmark money to it. I would encourage you to try to come together as a unit and say, let's spend our state aid money in this fashion, as opposed to splitting it up. That's always been my opinion and remains my opinion. I think you get more bang for your buck. I will also say that if you have, call it bond money, I call it county money, another source other than state aid, we can put that project on the market quicker at an abbreviated spec, get it bid, get it under construction faster than we can through state aid or LSDP. So if it's a reclaim or reseal or something you're gonna spend county funds on, if you mix state aid money with it, I necessarily have to go through them. They are an absolute great bunch to work with, but they have a system that we have to go through. You probably could do that same work, leaving them out of it in a third of the time. And if that means y'all swap money or say, he's got all this and they got all that, you know, I just feel like
that's sort of been the problem, you know. If we decide, okay, well, this district, you go ahead and get this state aid money. Well, then nobody really been want to give up to compensate the other districts for doing that. You know, in the past it's been, well, yeah, I want the state aid money, but I don't want to give up any of my other money to, you know, that's where the rub has always come in. We're doing that.
Couldn't we do, and I mean, and I say this very simplistically because I'm new to this, you know, on here, but if we have a county engineer and we all represent Oktibbeha County, you know, our individual districts elected us, but we are, you know, we're a unit system, we're not a beat system. You know, the unit system means we're collectively as one. I mean, shouldn't our engineer be telling us what are our most, this road needs to be done, that road needs to be done, you know, this road's in worse repair than that road, and rank them. And, you know, we decide, you know, you got 10 roads, and, you know, we gotta say, well, we can do this road this year, that road next year, and the other one, you know, the other, but with all the money instead of piecing and parting it together, because everybody rides on the road, you know what I'm saying?
And you're right, and actually lawfully that's the way the unit system operates. Here we get one allocation of state aid money, one per term, like this $2 million. We only get it for this term. We have to wait 4 years to get another allocation of state aid monies. But I mean, you're right. That's the way it should be done, but then, you know, I can identify a project in my district, a state aid project, that 500,000 would get done, you know. So I could get that project, state aid project done. in my district for that amount. It might not be true in all cases, but I do have one in my district that I could get done with that amount of money. So, you know, it's just, you know, it's one of those self-preservation type deals, you know, and about trying to do as much as you can for your constituents in your district. That being said, you know, it's always good to revisit and look at, you know, exactly what you're talking about.
Cause I knew that we had different pots of money, different places, like he was saying, we borrow from this one to pay for that, you know what I mean? But if we came up with a plan, you know, something that was beneficial to you know, to everybody, you know, that was good, you know, cause that's like, there's Crawford Road, Lord have mercy. Nobody live on that road, that's the worst road I've ever been down, even in downtown Jackson, ain't got a road that bad. It's terrible.
It's bad.
It's not in my district, but it's awful. It's awful.
We would like the opportunity with each of you to discuss what you think your needs are, what you see as priority in your district. The expense would be that you spend $500,000, we put those plans together, and yes, we get paid for doing that, but you pay for that contractor's overhead and mobilization and all this kind of stuff, and then if Miss Patty comes up and says, I wanna spend my $500 over here, it's the same type work, could have been put together in the same project, and then, you know, you duplicate it having to pay for that mobilization and all this kind of stuff again, so that to the extent we can understand what you wanna do, we'd like to put that together.
And lump those projects.
Lump those projects together. Just, you know, from a cost savings standpoint, and anytime we can get a contractor that comes in to look at 6 miles of work as opposed to a half-mile work, you're gonna get a better price. I will say for the first time in a long time, we had a very reputable bridge contractor that has worked all over this county called us last week and said, if you got anything coming out, we can do. That's a sign. If we could get these things on the market now, we may get some better numbers. First time that's happened in quite a while.
And I don't know whether you checked with Crawford Road, but you know, of course, the issue, you know, there's a land transaction that's kind of got us upheld, a major land transaction. And so that's one of the reasons why I think he's waiting to get the response back from that. But everything looks favorable. But at the same time, we haven't gotten it all the right way like we have hoped to run it.
So any other questions for us? Again, we're happy to come in and look or take a call. I know Mr. Joe's got a section of the road he wants us to look at. Y'all have actually passed the order for us to study a little bit. But let's get this money spent and move forward for the county.
Just a couple of things. First one is state aid road. In order, and I guess the formula is the more state aid miles you have in your county, the more allocation of state aid monies that you get.
There's a formula, I can't quote it verbatim, but it's based on population and road miles.
Okay. So
1/3 split equally
Right.
amongst all the counties. 1/3 is split based upon population, and the other third is split based upon road.
Road miles, that's right.
So one of my questions is, if I want to declare a road a state aid road, first the criteria is it has to connect on each end to a state aid road, correct?
Correct.
Then it has to be built to state aid standards in order for it to be accepted on state aid roads. So my question is, if we had built this road and would state aid allow our engineer to go back and pull the plans and specs on how we built that road, and then possibly accept it, or would it have to, during the process?
I think they would be amenable to having us review what documentation exists for the road. It was built this wide, and if it was soil cement in there, this much base, they would review that. They would probably want to accompany that with an inspection, and maybe borings to verify that, you know, if we said we put 12 inches of clay gravel down, that's what we got. You know, so I think they would be amenable. But you can add a road to the state aid system. You can take a road off of the state aid system. What you can't do is you can't spend state aid money on a road that wasn't originally built to state aid spec. So if you got an existing gravel road out that the county just built, and you wanted to go do, you know, some type of paving or something like that, it's got to have been built to state aid spec originally.
It can't be accepted later and then.
It could be, the road may could be accepted to go through the process we're talking about, but you just can't, I say willy-nilly go say, I'm gonna spend my state aid dollars on this road if they don't have it on file as a state aid road.
Okay, okay. And the reason I was asking, there's one road in particular in my district now that it's been paved completely. I might want you to just take a look at it.
And one other thing that you can do too, the county can do maintenance on a state aid road at any time. You can spend your county dollars on maintenance on a state aid road at any time. And what will happen on a yearly basis, that is, our state aid district engineer will come in, he'll get in the truck with Mr. Collins or me or somebody from the office. He's gonna ride all these state aid roads, and he's gonna write the county a report that you need to do this, you need to cut the limbs, this needs, you know, he's gonna address that they're being maintained properly. I think last time he hit Vic pretty hard about limbing and limbs and all that kind of stuff, you know, so. Alright,
The last question is that intersection. Do we need to pass a board order allowing you to study that intersection at County Lake, South Creek, and 182?
I think Supervisor Howard, that board order already exists.
Okay.
And I made that request way back. I just need to follow up. We had, again, Mark Thomas was heading that up for MDOT. I think Mark's still in that same position, and he just told me one time he was working on that. I just need to follow up. I think that order already exists.
I was gonna ask, could you?
Our last board meeting.
Okay. Can you kind of start touching bases with people and try to coordinate a meeting?
Sure.
On that?
Yeah, I'll be happy to.
Appreciate it.
Okay. And I can probably pull up the old emails where we started that.
What does it take for the county to do maintenance on a state aid road?
Your money?
Yeah, but do you have to be involved?
We need to be involved because we need to document that maintenance effort with state aid. I'm not saying I have to produce a set of plans, but we need good documentation as to what was done, where it started, where it ended, and what that effort actually was. It put y'all in a bit of a bad position if the state aid district engineer rides through and he sees 500 feet of something's been done and nobody knows what it was.
Douglastown, is that not a state aid road?
Yeah, you could do maintenance. Remember we touched base with them and verified that you could spend your county money on Douglastown and do a maintenance project.
It is a state aid.
Mohai is state aid.
I believe so, yes.
It is. So, to what extent do you need to be involved with Mohai Road?
We need
the county has to do work.
Yeah, we need to assess work and make a recommendation on the county on how to repair it. And if you like to do it with county forces, we just need to document what was done for that.
Really quick, the work that's been done, the Douglastown work now is not being paid out of state aid funds.
It's not being paid out of state aid
That's the
funds.
difference, Steve. It's a state aid road, but it's not being paid out of state aid funds.
We can spend other monies on state aid roads.
That's what I'm saying. Y'all can spend money on the state aid road.
But you don't spend any state aid money on it. You spend any state aid money on it, then it has to be state aid.
Just didn't have it. We didn't have it to spend.
It is a state aid. You can't spend any state aid money on anything other than a state aid road.
Yeah, we just didn't have state aid money to do the work, so we're doing state aid road county money.
You can take this map and look at, again, what's LSBP, what we could spend LSBP money for. You can look at what we could spend state aid bridge money for. Again, I'm gonna get you the flip two that we've already got ready.
Okay.
And then we've got the Morgantown Bridge laying out there that, you know, I'm hoping we get VR money or application for the next round. Other than that, you got a $4.3 million gorilla in the room right there that needs the rest of it. Anything else?
more questions from Mr. Clyde. He's the state aid engineer, county engineer, so
I did mention.
he has the answers.
I did mention one time, if you get calls on these bridges, remember too, we've been inspecting these bridges for a long, long time. David Harrelson in my office has got pictures of every bridge in this county every 2 years. He can go back to what it looked like 10 years ago, 8 years ago, 6 years ago, and you can physically see what's happened to it. If somebody just says, hey, we think this is going on, he probably knows about it, and has got a picture of that effect. Okay?
Thank you, a great job being done on the Harris Road Bridge.
Well, we're well pleased with that, and that happens to be the same contractor that called me that said, hey, y'all got anything else coming?
He does good work.
They do excellent work, and have for the county for a long, long time.
Timeline, when do the board need to get together and get something?
No, as quickly as possible. I mean, just as quick as y'all, if you want to declare a road and bridge section, session, as quickly as possible, because my gut tells me that you've got a representative and a senator and a Clearwater group up there that's ready to start lobbying for some additional funds. And we need to know what y'all quick. And as soon as y'all tell them, I'm gonna get the next call as how much money we need. So as quickly as possible. And these state aid projects take a little while to walk through. Then they do us an absolute great job over there. We couldn't ask for more cooperation. Your county funded work, bond work, we can do that anytime, and we can do that fast. As quick as y'all can get me some names on the page, to Miss Patty's point, if y'all end up, each one of you's got 5, 6 road things you want me to look at, you want me to prioritize them, I didn't have to run for election. I'm trying to say A, B, C, D, E is the way I would do them from an engineering standpoint. Y'all might do something different, but that's what I'd say.
I understand.
Okay? Thank y'all.
Thank you. Yes, each one of us can get one of these.
Y'all can help yourself. Anything else? Just
I take it off.
Thank you, Mr. Bridget, for that information. So since we don't, can we acknowledge Mr. Clyde's report?
motion to acknowledge our engineer's report.
Motion by Howard, second.
Y'all can acknowledge my birthday. I turned 66 this morning.
Yes, sir. Happy birthday to you. Many, many more.
You don't look a day older than that either.
This is the only birthday party I'm gonna get.
I know.
I don't believe we have anything else to cover.
No, sir, we do not. Just a quick reminder, get with the road manager. Our 4-year road plan has to be adopted, by February 1st. So y'all need